Chapter 59:12 was not beautiful at all. Although everyone was wary of the skeleton tiger, they were not too worried. Beiyu was at level 7 of the divine summoning, Jiang Shuangli was at level 6, and Nangong Shi was at level 5 of the divine summoning. Even if Yin Chujiu and Ding Wenru were useless, they were more than enough to deal with the skeleton tiger. At this moment, the skeleton tiger had already rushed in front of everyone. However, it did not attack. Instead, it let out a threatening growl, as if it was choosing its target and timing. Hei Xinjia's eyes widened as she observed the skeleton tiger. In order to take a closer look, this fellow simply laid on the ground and looked at the skeleton tiger's abdomen. Tsk, it was really magical. There was an opaque barrier between the skeleton frame and the edges of the flesh and blood, but nothing could be seen. When the skeleton tiger saw Hei Xinjia's actions, it was almost angered to the point of being dumbfounded. It had seen many batches of humans, but this was the first time it had seen such a strange one. She did not take such a powerful demonic beast seriously at all. She was really courting death. The skeleton tiger immediately decided on its first target and pounced towards Hei Xinjiu, who was lying on the ground. However, just as it made its move, an ice dragon pounced towards it and bit its ear. Water countered fire, ice countered fire. The skeleton tiger immediately screamed in pain and did not dare to pounce forward anymore. In fact, Di Baiming could have killed the skeleton tiger in one move, but firstly, he was afraid of exposing his strength, and secondly, Hei Xinjiu was shouting at the side. "I'll do it! I'll do it! I'll take care of it!" Ding Wenru was speechless when she saw Hei Xinjiu, who was eager to give it a try. "Qingcheng, can you be more careful? It was fine if you were distracted before, but now you are rushing to your death. Are you still asleep? That is a level 6 demonic beast of the moon seal. Is it going to take care of you or you?" At this moment, Hei Xinjiu had already walked to Di Baiming's side. She looked at the skeleton tiger with a smug look and said, "Hey little kitten, how about we have a one-on-one fight?" The skeleton tiger howled angrily. How was it like a cat? It was a tiger. Moreover, this little weakling still wanted to fight it alone? She was most likely an idiot, right? It could easily kill a little weakling like her. Where did this little weakling get her confidence from? Could it be because she was ugly? It was not that its words were unpleasant. Humans looked really strange. They were actually covered in meat from head to toe. There was no beauty in them at all. Yin Chujiu naturally did not know what the skeleton tiger was thinking. She continued with a smile. What a joke, it did not dare. What was there to be afraid of? It was just afraid of that ugly male. Little kitten, since you dare, how about we have a competition? If you win, I'm willing to be eaten by you. If I win, you can establish a temporary contract with me. How about that? Hei Xinjiu laughed like a wolf with a big tail. The skeleton tiger looked at Yin Chujiu with disdain, thinking, "Do you think it's a fool?" Even if it won, the ugly human male would not let it eat the uglier human female. Yin Chujiu was so smart. She immediately saw its concern and said with a smile, "Don't worry, what I said is true. If I lie, let the heavenly lightning strike me to death, the kind that will turn me into charcoal." Chapter 59:13 slipped away. Yin Chujiu thought that the skeleton tiger would definitely agree with her words. After all, she had used the same method to trick countless demonic beasts. Who would have thought that the skeleton tiger would snort in disdain, turn around, and jump into the nearest crack in the ground, disappearing without a trace? Yin Chujiu, what exactly went wrong? Why did the skeleton tiger run away? This guy looked at Ding Wenru and the others with a blank face. Tell me, why did it run? Am I so awesome now? I just casually said a few words and scared it away. Ding Wenru and the others were also dumbfounded. The skeleton tiger was still aggressive before. Why did it suddenly run away? Di Baiming said indifferently, "Maybe it didn't believe your words and thought that it wouldn't benefit from winning or losing, so it ran away." Hei Xinjiu frowned. It shouldn't be. She didn't say anything either. What the hell? She had planned to contract the skeleton tiger so that she could have a guide. It would be helpful for them to complete the mission or find what Di Baiming needed. But the skeleton tiger unexpectedly ran away. Damn it. That skeleton tiger really did not know what was good for it. It would be best if it was struck to death by heavenly lightning. Just as Yun Chujio had this thought, a purple heavenly lightning descended from the sky with a boom. It struck the crack where the skeleton tiger had disappeared earlier. Ding Wenru and the rest were shocked. They looked at Yun Chujio with a meaningful gaze. It seemed that this fellow had lied earlier. Otherwise, why would the heavenly lightning descend? Hei Shinjio touched her nose. She could not explain that the heavenly lightning was to strike the skeleton tiger. Everyone waited for a while, but the skeleton tiger did not appear again. They could only head south. The reason why they chose the south was because according to Jiang Shuangli, there was a large forest to the south of the ruins of God's miracle. The place where the illusion pearls appeared most frequently was that dense forest. After Yun Chujio and the others left, the skeleton tiger crawled out from the crack in the ground. It was a miserable sight. The golden fur on its body was chopped into curly fur, and even half of its bones were charred black. The skeleton tiger was filled with hatred and fear. The reason why it ran away earlier was because it was certain that Yun Chujio was lying, because there had never been any heavenly lightning in the ruins of Miracle. The oath she made was useless. It was also worried that it would be killed by debeaming, so it took the opportunity to escape. However, it was actually struck by the heavenly lightning just now. Who could tell it why? Could it be caused by that ugly female human? Yes, it must be so. Otherwise, why would she say those wa? The huge eyeballs of the skeleton tiger rolled around. No, it had to spread the news and kill that ugly female human. As long as she died, the ruins of Miracle would no longer have such a terrifying existence like heavenly thunder. It could also take revenge. Thinking of this, the skeleton tiger once again burrowed into the crevice. What Yun Chujio and the others did not know was that these crevices were connected in the deepest part of the ground. There were countless skeleton demon beasts living in them. However, they all had their own boundaries. Usually, they would not interfere with each other. However, if there was an urgent matter, there wouldn't be so many taboos. These demon beasts in the ruin of Miracles all spoke the same beast language. The news spread very quickly and soon, all the skeleton demon beasts in this area knew about this news. They gave up on their targets and gathered in the direction where Yun Chujio was. Chapter 59:14 Was she a demon? The students in this area were somewhat dumbfounded, because they were shocked to discover that many demon beasts flashed past them, as if they hadn't seen them. The ground also began to tremble, and the faint roars of beasts could be heard. Everyone was shocked and afraid. Could it be that there was a demon beast riot in the ruins of Miracles? They had never heard of a demon beast riot here. However, based on the principle of seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages, they naturally would not follow the demonic beasts to check it out foolishly. They were more than happy to capture the fantasy pearl easily. Hei Shinjio and the other three were already out of luck. Before they walked out of the ruins of the city, they discovered in horror that countless skeleton demonic beasts had crawled out of the cracks in the ground around them. Their faces were ferocious and terrifying. Ding Wenru was so scared that her legs turned to jelly. She grabbed Yun Chujio's arm and asked, Ching, what? What's going on? Why are we surrounded by demon beasts? Hei Shinjio was also dumbfounded. Could it be Goei Bakeo's doing? Goei Batsao immediately felt wronged. It was not that indebted. It had nothing to do with it, alright? Debeaming's calm face also revealed a serious look. Although he had concealed his strength, there were so many high-level demonic beasts. He was not confident that he could bring Yun Chujio back safely. Jiang Shuangli's face was pale. He said in a trembling voice, Why are there so many demonic beasts? This is not normal. Hei Xinjia's sharp eyes spotted the skeleton tiger among the demonic beasts. The giant skeleton tiger's eyes were filled with pride and arrogance. She suddenly thought of something. Could it be that the gathering of the demonic beasts was related to it? She rolled her eyes and said to Ding Wenru in a low voice, Sister Ding, I didn't expect that the skeleton tiger would be so resourceful. I told it to attract more demonic beasts to die, but it actually managed to trick so many demonic beasts. As expected of the demonic beast I chose. Ding Wenru didn't understand what Yun Chujio was talking about. but the tacit understanding she had made her subconsciously agree. Yes, it does have a way. Beiming immediately understood Yun Chujia's intention and cooperated. You promised it benefits, so it will naturally do as you said. It's a good time to use these demonic beasts as a blood sacrifice. As Beiming spoke, his body emitted a terrifying pressure. Although this pressure did not target Ding Wenru and the other two, it still made their faces pale and made them unable to stand. When they saw the pressure that Beiming emitted, they immediately cast their suspicious and angry gazes towards the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger was aggrieved and angry. It roared angrily. That human female is lying. I don't know her at all, and I won't work for her. Let's attack together and kill them. Those demon beasts were skeptical. At this time, Yun Chujia waved at the skeleton tiger and said, Little kitten, come here quickly. Otherwise you will be hurt by accident later. What you said makes sense. The word king in your head is the proof of your noble bloodline. Only you are worthy to be the king of the beast in the ruin of miracles. Come here quickly, so that I can poison them all to death. When the skeleton tiger saw the angry eyes of the demon beasts around it, it was about to cry. Now it did not matter whether what the stinky girl said was true or not. Just because of the word king in its head, the other demon beasts could not tolerate it anymore. Was this little girl a demon? How terrifying. Chapter 59:15 One man returns 10,000 beasts. Please continue reading on X0VL. No matter how the skeleton tiger thought about it, there was no way it could survive. Regardless of whether the demonic beasts ate these humans or not, it would be torn to pieces by the other demonic beasts. The skeleton tiger really did not understand. It had such a meticulous plan. Why did it end up losing its own life? What could it do to save its own life? At this moment, Yun Chujio said again, Little kitten, what are you still standing there for? You forgot that the crack in the ground has been poisoned. It can only be cured by drinking a large amount of water. Be careful that you don't die from the poison. Almost instantly, a few demonic beasts rushed into the distance. The other demonic beasts also reacted and rushed in the same direction. The reason was very simple. Nothing was more important than their lives. It was better to believe it than not to believe it. If they were really poison, wouldn't their lives be over? In any case, it was just a large amount of water, and there was no harm in it. After saving their lives, it was not too late to seek revenge on this stinky girl. The face of the skeleton tiger was dumbstruck. Even in its dreams, it had never thought that things would end up like this. Were those demonic beasts all fools? That wretched girl poisoned them, just like that? She had only just arrived here. How could she have the time and opportunity to poison them? However, it did not say anything. Even if it did, no beast would believe it. It might even bite it to death. After all, it was now an ambitious traitor who wanted to be king. Just as the skeleton tiger was shocked, Yun Chujio said with a faint smile, Little kitten, do you want to live? If you want to live, then quickly establish a temporary contract with me. Otherwise, when those demonic beasts come back, you'll be dead. When the skeleton tiger saw Yun Chujio's smiling face, it wished it could go up and bite her to death. It was all her fault. If it wasn't for her, would it become the target of everyone? Would it end up in such a miserable ending? But what could it do? There was such a terrifying existence beside that stinky girl, and it couldn't defeat it. It thought again. This stinky girl had casually sent those idiots away with just a few words. Perhaps there really was a way to save it. It gritted its teeth and put aside its moral integrity and dignity for now. It was more important to save its little life first. Therefore, the skeleton tiger reluctantly established a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio and was temporarily contracted by Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio kept the skeleton tiger, she did not say anything. Instead, she said to Ding Wenru and the others, Let's leave this place first. Otherwise, it will be bad if those demonic beasts that went to drink water and detoxify the poison come back. Ding Wenru and the other two finally recovered from their shock. They had heard before that one person could retreat 10,000 soldiers. They thought that it was an exaggeration. Today they had finally witnessed it. This was a one-man retreat of 10,000 beasts. Yin Qingqing said a few words and managed to trick so many demonic beasts into running away? This was too unbelievable. Also, the pressure that Beiyu had just released was too terrifying. Before they had time to think further, the five of them immediately rushed towards the direction of the dense forest. As for the skeleton tiger, it had tragically become He Xinjia's mount. As the skeleton tiger ran, it wept in the wind. Was there anyone in the world who was more miserable than it? What did it do wrong to deserve such torture? Finally, everyone entered the dense forest and heaved a sigh of relief. The dense forest was different from the open area. It was not easy for those demonic beasts to surround and attack them. Moreover, they had raised their vigilance and would not give them the chance to surround and attack. Chapter 59:16 was added. Please continue reading on X0VL. At this time, Yun Chujio finally had the leisure to deal with the skeleton tiger. She glanced at the skeleton tiger. Tell me, what exactly happened? The skeleton tiger wanted to tell the truth, but it immediately felt a sharp pain in its spiritual sense. It could only tell the whole story with tears in its eyes. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. The underground crevices were all connected to each other? Was it opened by these demonic beasts later? Or were they connected to each other in the first place? If they were connected to each other in the first place, then it wouldn't be a crack, but the original secret passage. After the city was overthrown, these secret passages were revealed, forming the so-called crack. The secret passage was either used to protect one's life, or to hide treasures. Could the thing the pretty boy was looking for be in the secret passage? Thinking of this, Yun Chujio used her spiritual sense to ask, is there an underground palace down there? The eyes of the skeleton tiger flickered. Just as it was about to lie, it heard Yun Chujio say sinisterly, if you don't want to be hunted by the demon beasts in the future, just tell me the truth. Otherwise, even if I let you go in the future, you won't be able to live. The skeleton tiger could only say sullenly, since you guessed it, I won't hide it from you. There is indeed an underground palace down there, but it is not under this city, but under the desert. Don't blame me for not reminding you. The demon beasts in the desert are all very abnormal, especially when there are many corpse soldiers around the underground palace. It's so scary. If you don't want to die, don't go near it. Anyway, you came here to look for the illusionary color bead. There's no illusionary color bead there, so there's no need to send yourself to your death. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and did not say anything. If the thing the pretty boy was looking for was in the underground palace, she would go and explore it even if it was a mountain of knives and a sea of fire. Moreover, corpse soldiers? She had the corpse stabilizing pearl. So what was there to be afraid of? The skeleton tiger asked weakly. Do you have a way to prevent me from being chased by those demon beasts? Yun Chujio looked at it with a smile and said, that's easy to do. There will be a place for the beasts to stay if there are no beasts left here. You can just move to another area and live there. However, the word king in your forehead is a little eye-catching. In order to prevent future trouble, I can help you change the word to another word. Don't worry, I'll add a stroke and change it to the word jade. How about that? Skeleton tiger thought for a moment. Although it was temporarily safe in other areas, it could not guarantee that the news in this area would spread over there. It was better to change the word king to the word jade, so it nodded and agreed. Therefore, He Xinjiu fed skeleton tiger a painkiller pill and took out a dagger to cut its forehead. The skeleton tiger was puzzled. Why did it feel that she did not carve a dot? However, it did not think of anything else. The main reason was that the word king was just a word of jade and the main character. It could not write anything else. However, why did it feel that the expressions of those ugly humans were not quite right? The skeleton tiger was suspicious, but it did not have a mirror, so it could only bury this question in its heart. At this time, Ding Wenru pointed to the distance and said, look, that's the illusion pearl, right? Everyone looked in the direction Ding Wenru pointed and saw a dazzling pearl floating in the distance. The light around its body formed a pair of small wings that flew about 10 feet away from the ground. It was forbidden to fly in the ruins of Miracle, So this illusion pearl could only fly up to this height. Nangongsher tiptoed and immediately grabbed the illusion pearl. He didn't expect the illusion pearl to be so agile. It avoided Nangongsher's hand and flew into the distance. Chapter 59:16. The words on the forehead of the skeleton tiger. Please continue reading on X0VL. Seeing this, Jiang Shuangli and Ding Wenru quickly went forward to help. Yin Chujio took this opportunity to tell Di Biming about the skeleton tiger's words and her own guess. Prince Charming, is the thing you are looking for in the underground palace? The location I sensed is indeed in the desert. I will help you get enough fantasy beads first, then I will go to the desert to check, Di Biming said. Yin Chujio immediately caught some information from his words. You mean you will go alone? Di Biming nodded. After I get the things, I will use the opportunity to disappear after I teleport out. Otherwise, people will suspect you in the future, so don't go with me. Yin Chujio immediately pouted. Sooner or later, my identity will be exposed. At that time, your identity will not be hidden. This is simply an excuse. In the end, aren't you afraid that I'll drag you down? Sigh, who asked me to be such a waste? Even my fiancé despises me. What's the point of me living? I might as well be stuffed to death. Although Di Biming knew that this fellow was acting shamelessly, he still had to explain. I'm not afraid of you dragging me down. I'm afraid that you'll be in danger. Have you forgotten? I have the corpse stabilizing pearl. Why would I be afraid of those corpse soldiers? It's just a pity that the little grasshopper didn't come in together. Otherwise, those corpse soldiers wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between the little grasshopper's teeth. Speaking up to this point, Yin Chujio's heart moved. Although the little grasshopper didn't come in, she could still bring out the corpse soldiers' corpses and feed them to the little grasshopper. A certain someone had always been unable to dissuade He Xinjiu, so in the end, he could only agree with her. After finding enough fantasy beads, the two of them left the team and headed towards the desert. At this time, Nangongsher and the other two had already successfully caught the fantasy bead. Nangongsher used his spiritual power to restrain the fantasy bead and held it in his hand to look at it carefully. He didn't see anything special about it. Other than the colorful colors, it wasn't much different from a pearl that could calm one's mind. Nangongsher thought for a moment and passed the pearl to Yin Chujio. Keep it with you for now. When we're about to leave, we'll split it equally. Yin Chujio didn't stand on ceremony and directly put the illusion pearl into her storage ring. For the next 2 days, the 5 of them went into the forest to catch the illusion pearl. In order to enter the desert earlier, Di Biming no longer hid his strength and easily caught a few illusion pearls. When they were surrounded by the demonic beasts, the terrifying pressure released by Di Biming had already made Nangongsher and the other two feel that something was wrong, so they were not surprised. However, they secretly guessed that this bias cultivation did not seem to be weaker than the other chancellors. Why did he hide his strength and enter the academy? However, they were only guessing in their hearts. No one dared to ask, and no one dared to say anything. On this day, everyone passed by a stream in the forest. Because of Jiang Shuangli's warning, no one dared to drink the water here, even though the water was very clear. The skeleton tiger thought of the word on its forehead and walked to the side of the stream curiously. It wanted to see if the word on its forehead was Master or Jade. Nangongsher and the others looked at the skeleton tiger sympathetically and silently retreated a little. The skeleton tiger quickly let out a miserable cry because it saw the word on its forehead. It wasn't the word Master, nor was it the word Jade. Instead, it was fucking ugly. The skeleton tiger was so angry that it fainted on the spot. It was too fucking mean. It couldn't bully a beast like this. How could it see a beast like this in the future? It didn't want to live anymore. Chapter 59:18. I'm going to terminate the contract. Please continue reading on X0VL. The skeleton tiger was awakened by the stream water. It opened its eyes and saw He Xinjiu smiling. It roared in grief and indignation. You lied to me. Why did the word J change to ugly? I'm sorry. My hand slipped. My hand slipped and I ended up like this. Although Hei Shinjio was apologizing, the expression on her face was extremely annoying. The skeleton tiger was so angry that it was trembling. No matter how stupid it was, it knew that it had been fooled. You have gone too far. I want to cancel the contract with you. If you don't let me go, I will self-destruct. I would rather die with you. The moment the skeleton tiger thought about how it would use the word ugly to throw beasts everywhere in the future, its eyes turned red. Beasts could be killed but not humiliated. It could not live anymore. Yin Shujo pouted. You're going to self-destruct? Believe it or not, you haven't even had the time to do so, and you've already become a dead tiger? Moreover, I've already said that I'm going to add a pen to your name. Isn't this a pen? Moreover, what's the big deal about this? If it really doesn't work out, it'll help you fill in a few more pens. How about turning into a chick's character? The skeleton tiger was so angry that it choked and fainted again. It was such a majestic beast that it had to go out with the word chic on its head. It was better to let it die. Hei Shinjio kicked the skeleton tiger that had fainted and mumbled. It fainted so easily. Its mental fortitude is too bad. Ding Wenru and the others silently gave the skeleton tiger a bitter cry. However, it deserved it. If it were not for the cleverness of Qingqing, they would have been bitten to death by the demon beasts long ago. The skeleton tiger was awakened by the stream water again. It stretched out its claws and clawed at its forehead. It would rather have its face disfigured than to lose face with the word ugly. The skeleton tiger quickly scratched the word on its forehead into pieces. One could imagine the grief and indignation in its heart. At this moment, Yin Shujo threw 2 pills to it. Here, stop the bleeding and stop the pain. Eat it. The skeleton tiger swallowed the 2 pills in a bad mood and roared. I want to terminate the contract. Yin Shujo sneered. Terminate the contract? You almost caused us to be eaten by the demonic beasts. Don't say that I only cut your forehead. Even if I kill you, you deserve it. Moreover, I bought all my pills with money. Are you going to eat them for free? If you don't want to die, then be obedient. Otherwise, it'll turn your... In the end, in the face of its strong desire to survive, it cowered. Yin Shujo and the others were about to leave and continue to capture the illusion pearl when Di Biming said in a low voice, Someone is coming. Everyone immediately became alert. Yin Shujo put the skeleton tiger into her spirit beast bag and looked into the distance. Soon 10 people came over. It was really a narrow road for enemies. These 10 people were all from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. Most of them had been seen in restaurants, especially Guanzijia. Although Guanzijia had broken his leg because of the big split, he was now okay. He looked at Ding Wenru with killing intent. Seeing that Lan Luochen was not among them, Yin Shujo immediately breathed a sigh of relief. As long as there were no blue dregs, it would be fine. Guanzijia put on a fake smile and said, If you guys leave now, just pretend that we haven't met before. But you have to keep Ding Wenru here. Hei Shinjio curled her lips and said, What if I say no? Guanzijia snorted coldly and said, Then don't blame us for not being polite. We have twice as many people as you guys. And you still have 2 people holding you back. You can't beat us. Chapter 59-19. The Power of the Skeleton Tiger. Please continue reading on X0VL. Nangang Shi and the other 2 weren't nervous at all. They had already witnessed the power of Beiyu. Not to mention these people. Even if these people came again, they wouldn't be a match for him. However, they didn't know that Di Biming didn't want to reveal his strength in front of these people. Unless, he didn't want to leave anyone alive. Yin Shujo understood Di Biming's intentions. She curled her lips. Are we really going to fight? Although we don't have as many people as you guys, what if we add in the demon beasts? As Yin Shujo spoke, she released the skeleton tiger. Guanzijia and the others never dreamed that Yin Shujo would actually contract a skeleton tiger. Didn't they say that the demonic beasts in the ruins of Miracle were all unruly and untamable? Didn't they say that the demonic beasts here would rather die than be enslaved? Moreover, This Yin Qingqing was only at the second level of the divine summoning realm. How could she successfully contract a skeleton tiger at the sixth level of the moon seal realm? It was probably a blind cat that met a dead rat and happened to succeed. Guan Zijie came back to his senses and said disdainfully, "So what if you dog shit and luck contracted the skeleton tiger? Can it still fight against 5 by itself? Moreover, your skeleton tiger's forehead has been scratched into a pulp by other demonic beasts. One look and you can tell that it doesn't have any ability." The skeleton tiger was depressed because of the matter on its forehead. After listening to Guan Zijie's words, how could it not be angry? It immediately spat out sparkling green flames at Guan Zijie. Guan Zijie did not expect the skeleton tiger to spit out fire at the slightest disagreement. He was completely unprepared. In addition, he was at the 5th level of the divine summoning. His cultivation level was 1 level lower than the skeleton tiger, so he was hit by the flames. Guan Zijie let out a shrill scream and rolled on the ground. The others quickly helped him put out the fire on his body. The fire had been put out, but the fire of the skeleton tiger was different from ordinary fire. Wisps of cold air quickly invaded Guan Zijie's internal organs, making him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Fortunately, everyone had come prepared. They had brought a pill to cure the cold air, so they quickly stuffed one into Guan Zijie's mouth. The skeleton tiger did not expect to be able to defeat the enemy in one move. It immediately felt that the cowardice it had suffered earlier had dissipated a little, so it let out 2 proud roars. Yin Chuzhou chuckled and said, "Both of our missions are to capture the Mirage Pearl. There's really no need for us to fight to the death. Moreover, even if we really fight, you might not be able to gain any benefits. When the time comes, if you are injured, your results will naturally be affected. You might not even be able to enter the second round. Why bother?" These people did not have any enmity with Yin Chuzhou and Ding Wenru. When they saw Guan Zijie's miserable state, they did not say anything. Seeing this, Yin Chuzhou jumped onto the back of the skeleton tiger and cupped her fists at those people. The green mountains will not change, and the green waters will flow forever. See you later. After saying that, Yin Chuzhou took Ding Wenru and the others and left leisurely. She did not look panicked at all. Those people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy looked at each other. Other than Guan Zijie, who had just woken up and was shouting, no one made a sound. Yin Qingqing was right. The most important thing now was to find the fantasy pearl. There was no need to go against them. Besides, Nangong Shi and Jiang Shuangli had extraordinary family backgrounds. There was no benefit in offending them. When Guan Zijie saw that no one was paying attention to him, he was so angry that he gritted his teeth. But there was nothing he could do. "Little kitten, it seems that you are quite powerful." Yin Chuzhou patted the head of the skeleton tiger and said with a smile. The skeleton tiger let out a proud cry, and a strange sense of satisfaction rose in its heart. As if receiving this praise, its whole body felt comfortable. Chapter 59:20 Crying for food. In the next few days, Yin Chuzhou and the others did not meet anyone else. After all, the ruins of Miracle was very large, and there were only 100 people who came to train, so the chances of meeting them were very small. Yin Chuzhou saw that the number of fantasy beads that she had collected was enough, so she divided the fantasy beads in her hand into 5 equal portions, and gave 3 portions to Ding Wenru and the other 2. The 3 of them were stunned. There was still more than half a month before the trial ended, so why were they splitting the fantasy beads now? "I'm really sorry, Big Brother Bayu and I have to go somewhere else to take a look, so it's not convenient for us to bring you along. Anyway, there are enough fantasy beads. You can find a safe place and wait for the time limit to be up before you're teleported out. Or you can find someone else to form a team. In addition, if anyone asks, you can say that you are separated from us. There are some things that you should not say. Otherwise, you all understand." When Yin Chuzhou said these words, she changed her usual playful manner and carried a stern killing intent. Di Biming did not say anything. However, the terrifying pressure made the 3 of them drenched in cold sweat. How could they dare to say no? Although they had some vague guesses, they were still shocked. Where were they going? What were they going to do? Di Biming withdrew his pressure after seeing them nod in agreement. Ding Wenru asked with a trembling voice, Qingcheng, can we meet again? He Xingjiu immediately rolled her eyes. Isn't that obvious? I'm just going to take a look elsewhere. It's not like you'll never return. We'll meet again after the trial is over. Ding Wenru finally heaved a sigh of relief. She had thought that Qingcheng had abandoned her. But it turned out that it was just a false alarm. You guys have to be careful. Don't worry. We know what to say and what not to say. Nangongsher cupped his fists and said. Jiang Shuangli also cupped his fists. I know the principle that disaster comes from the mouth. I won't say anything that I shouldn't say to others. However, outside the dense forest, there was a large desert. The demonic beasts inside were extremely ferocious, and the weather was very bad. You guys should be more careful. Yun Chujiu, Di Biming, and Ding Wenru respectively headed towards the direction of the desert. Of course, He Xingjiu was riding on the body of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger said worriedly, Are you really going to enter the desert? After receiving Yun Chujiu's affirmative answer, the skeleton tiger begged, I'm not good at marching and fighting in the desert. He Xingjiu said sinisterly. The skeleton tiger did not dare to say anything else. It continued to walk forward with tears in its eyes. Oh God! It was 80% certain that it would not live for more than a few days. Who did not know that the demon beasts in the desert were extremely ferocious? Not to mention that these two ugly humans wanted to enter the underground palace. They were simply courting death. If time could be reversed, it would not have come out of the crack no matter what. At this moment, De Hua's pitiful voice sounded from Yun Chujiu's divine sense. Master, I'm starving to death. I'm begging you to feed me with tears. Di Biming had taken care of De Hua, so he was so hungry that he did not dare to torment He Xingjiu. It was only when he was starving that he mustered up the courage to beg for food. Yun Chujiu then realized that it had been a few days since she had fed De Hua, so she let it out. As De Hua wanted to eat, it came out in a solid state. When the skeleton tiger saw the cute little red piglet, it thought that it was Yun Chujiu's pet. It immediately said with disdain, You actually raised a pig? Are you planning to eat meat after you raise it? Chapter 59:21 How to Kill a Tiger. As soon as the words left the mouth of the skeleton tiger, it felt a pain in its throat. The little piglet had actually bitten its throat at some point. The skeleton tiger only felt that its blood was rapidly draining away. It hurriedly used its claws to slap the little red piglet. After much difficulty, the little piglet was sent flying, but it had also bitten off a large piece of meat. Fortunately, its skin was rough and its flesh was thick. Otherwise, it would definitely have died. De Hua swallowed the piece of meat into its stomach and roared fiercely, If you continue to spout nonsense, I'll eat you. The skeleton tiger was scared silly. Finally, it realized that it also had a backer. With a whoosh, it hid behind Yun Chujiu. Unfortunately, Yun Chujiu's small body could not block its huge body at all. It tried its best to curl itself into a big ball. It looked as comical as possible. Yun Chujiu was very happy watching the show. She threw some spirit stones and demon beast corpses to De Hua, then handed a few pills to the skeleton tiger to stop the bleeding and stop the pain. Little kitten, you'd better not provoke De Hua, this good for nothing. Otherwise it will really eat you. The skeleton tiger nodded desperately. It was too scary. This ugly human female was scary. And her spiritual pet was even more scary. It had just come to this realization when it saw that the cute little red piglet had lost its physical form. How was this possible? It was actually a spiritual beast. It had never heard of anyone's spiritual beast being able to eat. Moreover, how could it materialize and not materialize at the same time? What kind of pervert was this? Yun Chujiu ignored the skeleton tiger that was in a state of shock. After feeding De Hua, she set off once again. The deeper they went into the desert, the higher the temperature. Yun Chujiu took out a bead spat out by Guai Chao and handed it to Di Biming. She then took out another bead and hung it on the ear of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger suddenly realized that it was enveloped by a cool aura. It felt so comfortable that it wanted to groan. It seemed that it was not without benefits to follow this wretched girl. Other things aside, this bead was not bad. It would be great if she could give it to it when the contract was cancelled in the future. At this moment, yellow sand filled the sky in front of them. Clearly a huge demonic beast had arrived. The skeleton tiger immediately threw its previous thoughts to the back of its mind. Good my ass. Its life was going to be over. Without its life, what was the use of even better things? It said with a trembling voice, It's over, it's over. There must be a high level da. Yun Chujio ignored it, and calmly looked at the huge demon beast that was gradually becoming clear in the distance. The demon beast looked similar to a lizard. Its body was full of bumps of all sizes. Even its skeleton had bumps of all sizes, which made people's scalp go numb. The lizard demon beast stuck out its tongue with barbs, and its cold eyes were full of greed. Yun Chujio pouted and said to the skeleton tiger, Actually, it's more suitable to be my temporary mount than you, but it's too ugly, so I can only reject it. On the one hand, the skeleton tiger felt that Yun Chujio was shameless. It was hard to say if she could defeat the lizard, but now she was actually thinking about a mount. On the other hand, it felt a sense of crisis. If she didn't want to use it as a mount, what would she do? The lizard beast also heard Yun Chujio's words. A trace of contempt and anger flashed across its eyes. The rock with barbs suddenly grew longer and rolled towards Yun Chujio. Chapter 59:22 was so beautiful the skeleton tiger was so scared that it let out a roar and jumped a few feet away, with Hei Shinjio on its back. Then, it took a closer look and was dumbfounded. The lizard demon beast's tongue was bitten off by a spiritual ice dragon, and dark green blood spurted out. Obviously it was highly poisonous. The lizard demon beast was both in pain and anger. It immediately fought with the spiritual ice dragon. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and released Dahua. She said, Didn't you say that you haven't eaten your fill? Your dessert is here. Dahua immediately pounced on the lizard demon beast. Its idea was very simple and crude. Oh my, this thing was not delicious, but it was large enough. The lizard demon beast's attention was on the ice dragon. In addition, it thought that such a small piglet spiritual power beast could do anything. So it did not take Dahua seriously and let it get close to it. The moment it got close to the lizard demon beast, Dahua turned into a real body and bit off the lizard demon beast's right eye. The lizard demon beast let out a miserable cry and rolled in the sand. Dahua went straight into its mouth, and then ate from the lizard demon beast like a little mouse that fell into a rice vat. It was so beautiful that it was almost bubbling. Although it acknowledged the thief as its master now, it had food and drink, which was not bad. As for the hatred of stealing its wife, it would seek revenge in the future. The lizard demon beast was unlucky. There was an ice dragon attacking outside, and Dahua, who was eating its flesh and blood, was in its stomach. Soon it lay on the ground dead. The skeleton tiger was trembling so much that it was about to turn into a sieve. Thinking of what it had said before, it felt that it was really lucky. This little piglet was not meant to be fed, but to eat other people. Hei Xinjia's expression was not very good, because the huge lizard demon beast was eaten by Dahua in an instant, without even leaving any bones. And this was even when it was already 80% full. She could not afford to feed such a glutton. Dahua burped and said with a face full of fear, I'm so full, so full. After so many days, I finally had a full meal. It's really not easy. Yun Chujio glared at it and ignored it, urging the skeleton tiger to continue on its journey. Seeing that Yun Chujio ignored it, Dahua could not help but rub its nose with its small claws, and then jumped onto the back of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger thought that it was going to eat it, so it rolled on the ground in fright, and threw Hei Shinjio away. Hei Shinjio, who had been thrown, was speechless seeing that the situation was not good. Diehua slapped itself and dissipated, leaving only the pitiful skeleton tiger to bear. One could imagine how miserable the skeleton tiger was. What kind of sin had it done to deserve such torture? In the next 2 days, although it encountered many violent demonic beasts, with the presence of a certain beast, It easily dealt with those demonic beasts. On this day, they finally arrived at the underground palace. The skeleton tiger pointed to the distance with its claws. Do you see it? The entrance to the underground palace is under that ring-shaped sand dune. Don't blame me for not reminding you. There are countless corpse soldiers below. Those corpse soldiers are not only very fierce, but once they are infected by corpse chi, their bodies will stiffen and eventually turn into corpse soldiers. It is precisely because of this that we have blocked the tunnel leading to the desert, so as to prevent those corpse soldiers from leaving the underground palace and attacking us. Well, if you are determined to go in, then put me into the spirit beast bag. I am useless and can't be of much help. Chapter 59-23. Underground Palace. Yin Chujiu glanced at the pitiful skeleton tiger. This time, she did not reject it, and put it into the spirit beast bag. Hei Xinjiu took out the corpse stabilizing pearl, and put it into her pocket. She then put the kitchen knife on her waist and said, "Prince Charming, let's go in and take a look." Di Biming nodded and handed the little dragon to Yin Chujiu. "If we are separated inside, I will feel more at ease with it protecting you." Yin Chujiu did not refuse. Although she was a lot of dumb and cute, they were all useless. The little yellow dragon's combat strength was still a little stronger. The little yellow dragon was very happy. She could finally leave that evil star temporarily. Moreover, she could see little sister Peach blossom again. It was simply wonderful. The little yellow dragon was very happy, but Face's nose was almost crooked from anger. As soon as the little dragon entered the spirit beast bag, it kept chattering with the peach blossoms. How could a single dog like Buttface not be angry? Buttface felt that it was most likely a bad time for him. First, that idiot Tao Tai started competing with him for the pet, and now there was a little dragon competing with him for the peach blossoms. It was really annoying. At this time, Yin Chujiu and Di Biming had already found the entrance to the underground palace. Under the sandstorm, a bronze door appeared in front of them. The door was carved with ancient patterns, but it gave off an eerie feeling. Yin Chujiu pursed her lips. No wonder the little cat said that there are corpse soldiers inside. This door gives off the same feeling as when I saw the little grasshopper. How do I open this thing? It's a pity that I can't use the jade talisman here. Otherwise, I would just explode. As soon as Yin Chujiu finished speaking, the door actually slowly opened a crack. Yin Chujiu and Di Biming looked at each other. Di Biming was in front while Yin Chujiu was behind. They walked into the underground palace. As soon as they entered the underground palace, they felt a bone-piercing coldness. Fortunately, Hei Xinjiu had a small flame protecting her body, so she did not feel any discomfort. Di Biming had been suffering from cold poison all year round, so this coldness naturally did not bother him. The two of them looked around and saw that the walls around them were filled with exquisite murals. The contents of the murals were mostly songs and dances surrounded by immortal chi. "Prince Charming, the murals should be from the city we passed by before, right?" "Yes, it should be. There is something strange here. Be careful." Di Biming protected Yin Chujiu and reminded her. Yin Chujiu nodded and followed Di Biming forward. After taking a few steps, they heard neat footsteps coming from the front. It was especially clear in the silent underground palace. Hei Xinjiu's eyes immediately lit up. It must be the corpse soldiers. The food for the little grasshopper has been found. Soon, Yin Chujiu saw dozens of corpse soldiers in neat rows walking towards them. Those corpse soldiers had shriveled faces, and their exposed hands were as shriveled as mummies. Their eyes were dull and lifeless. This guy muttered in his heart. These corpse soldiers looked like zombies. He didn't know if they were afraid of things like glutinous rice. Thinking of this guy wanted to take out something like glutinous rice from his storage ring to try, but he was stunned to find that the storage ring couldn't be opened. At the same time, she found that the spiritual power in her body was gone. She looked at Di Biming in horror, and saw that Di Biming was also shocked. She immediately understood that it seemed that the little gigolo's spiritual power had also disappeared. It's over, it's over. This time, she and the little gigolo would most likely become food for these corpse soldiers. Chapter 59-24 came to retrieve something. Little Jiu, let's go. I'll hold them off. Di Biming pushed Yin Chujio towards the exit. Di Biming regretted it now. If he had known earlier, no matter how little Jiu acted coquettishly, he should not have agreed to come with her. Yin Chujio naturally would not leave Di Biming alone and escape. She chuckled. Do you think I would leave you alone? Little Jiu, have you forgotten? I will not die. Leave me alone and leave this place. Di Biming said sternly. Yin Chujio held the corpse stabilizing pearl in her left hand, and the kitchen knife in her right. She said with a smile. Why are you leaving? I still want to see what treasures are inside. No matter how powerful these corpse soldiers are, how can they be as powerful as the grasshoppers? Even the little grasshoppers are afraid of this corpse stabilizing pearl. I don't believe that they are not afraid. Yin Chujio saw the determination in her eyes and could only say, it's fine if you don't want to leave. But if you encounter an emergency, don't worry about me. Just protect yourself, understand? Yin Chujio nodded numbly. Don't worry. If a person doesn't do it for himself, the heavens will destroy the earth. I won't be foolish enough to sacrifice myself to save others. Besides, there are plenty of outstanding men. If you die, you'll find someone else. Although a certain corpse soldier knew that she was talking nonsense, his face still turned ashen. Give up on that idea. I won't die. While the two of them were talking, the corpse soldiers had already approached them. Perhaps they were afraid of the fixed corpse pearl in Yin Chujio's hand, but the corpse soldiers stopped about 30 feet away from Yin Chujio and Yin Chujio. At the same time, footsteps came from the exit behind them. Dozens of corpse soldiers came over, but they stopped about 30 feet away from them. Although He Xinjia was a little worried, she said to Di Biming with a smile on her face. See? Fortunately, I didn't abandon you just now. Otherwise, I would have been caught by these corpse soldiers. Yin Chujio said, and took a few steps forward. As she wished, she saw the corpse soldiers in front of her take a few steps back, and the corpse soldiers behind her also took a few steps forward. It seems that these soldiers don't dare to come close to us within 100 feet. Since we are already inside, let's go inside and have a look. Moreover, I don't think we can go out by the original way. What do you think? He Xinjio blinked her eyes and said. Di Biming knew that Yin Chujio said this, because she did not want him to give up the things that he needed. He pursed his lips and nodded. Okay, let's go forward. He Xinjio was very satisfied with a certain lord's reaction. She hated being indecisive at the most crucial moment. If you let me do it, I will let you do it. That would delay things even more. The two of them did not dare to walk too fast. As they walked, they observed the reactions of the corpse soldiers. Yin Chujio noticed that the way they walked was very stiff. There was no change in their eyes. She whispered to Di Biming. Most of these corpse soldiers don't have any self-awareness. They just act on instinct. Maybe these are just low-level corpse soldiers. They are under the control of some high-level corpse soldiers. Di Biming guessed. If there are high-level corpse soldiers, they will appear very soon. All right, what exactly did you come here to retrieve? It can't be bones, right? Yin Chujio asked. Di Biming shook his head. It's not bones. I don't know what it is exactly, but that thing is very important to me. Chapter 59-25 Corpse General Yin Chujio curled her lips. She did not know what she was here for, but she had already entered the 10 Directions Academy. Wasn't she sick? She thought about it again. Forget it. Why should she care about a patient with amnesia? Since it was very important to him, she would take it. At this moment, a corpse general dressed in the uniform of a general walked over. Although its eyes were still duller than normal people, they were more lively than those corpse soldiers. It let out a hoarse voice that sounded like it was cutting through wood. Leave the corpse stabilizing pearl, and I'll let you go. Yin Chujio looked at it and said, Hey, how about we make a deal? I'll exchange the corpse stabilizing pearl for something. Once we get it, we'll leave this place immediately. The corpse general seemed to be slower than a normal person by half a beat. After a while it said, What is it? It's the treasure of your palace. The thing you're guarding, He Xinjio said with a smile. The corpse general pondered for a while. The thing the pretty boy wanted must be extraordinary. The thing the corpse soldiers and corpse generals were guarding must be the thing the pretty boy was looking for. The corpse general reacted for quite a while before saying hoarsely, "No. If you don't hand over the bead, it'll kill all of you." Yin Chujiu curled her lips. "If you have the ability, then come and kill me. I have the corpse stabilizing bead in my hand. Why should I be afraid of you, dumpling?" The corpse general's teeth made a creaking sound. It was probably very angry. Yin Chujiu could not help but click her tongue in wonder. It was actually able to have such an emotion like anger. It was indeed much more advanced than those corpse soldiers. Just as she was thinking, the corpse general's head actually detached from its body and pounced towards her. Hei Xinjiu was so scared that she hurriedly threw out the large kitchen knife in her hand and cut the head. The head was immediately cut into 2 halves, emitting wisps of black gas, which came towards Hei Xinjiu. Di Biming was about to use his body to block it, but Yin Chujiu took the initiative to go up to him. This guy said with a smile, it's okay. I guess this thing is the corpse chi. It can be used to feed Gowei Batsao." As expected, after the black chi entered her body, it was absorbed by Gowei Batsao. Hei Xinjiu was completely fine. The corpse general's corpse chi and head were destroyed. The rest of its body fell to the ground and was instantly eaten by the corpse soldiers. Yin Chujiu picked up the large kitchen knife and felt even more confident. This corpse general looked scary, but it was actually not much of a threat to her. The large kitchen knife could cut their bones, and the Gowei Batsao could devour their corpse chi. What was there to be afraid of? A certain lord had a complicated feeling. His cultivation was much stronger than his wife's, but when faced with such evil ways, it seemed that he was not as powerful as his wife. Hei Xinjiu naturally did not know the complicated thoughts of a certain lord. She said valiantly, "Idol, it seems that these corpse soldiers are just SOSO. We can go forward without worry." The two of them did not walk far before some more corpse soldiers gathered. However, they did not dare to get close to Yin Chujiu and Di Biming. After a moment, another corpse general came. This time, 3 corpse generals came together. The 3 corpse generals said the same thing. They wanted Yin Chujiu to stay in the fixed corpse pearl. Yin Chujiu curled her lips. "Cut the crap. We can exchange it with the treasure you are guarding, or we can have a fight. I don't care if you fly your heads, arms, or legs." Chapter 59:26 Get out here. The 3 corpse generals reacted slowly. After a while, they gritted their teeth in anger. Then the 3 heads flew towards Hei Xinjiu. "Prince Charming, don't worry about it. I'll show you my chicken-killing swordsmanship." Hei Xinjiu pushed Di Biming away and said excitedly. A certain corpse general could only watch Yin Chujiu, waving her kitchen knife with complicated feelings. She instantly cut the 3 heads into 2 halves. Corpse chi was still drifting out from inside. Hei Xinjiu accepted it with a smile and fed it to Gowei Batsao. Hei Xinjiu shouted arrogantly, Who else? Who else? Tell your leader to hand over the treasure quickly, or he'll kill all of you." Although the corpse soldiers were not conscious, they had instincts. After seeing that the 3 corpse generals were all dead, they began to retreat. The neat formation also began to fall apart. Seeing this, Hei Xinjiu became more and more complacent. She swaggered and increased her speed. Di Biming frowned. Previously, the skeleton tiger had said that there were many corpse soldiers in the underground palace. However, the number of corpse soldiers that had shown up was too few and too weak. "Little Jiu, be careful. Something is not right." Although Hei Xinjiu was very smug, she also felt that something was not right. She exchanged a look with Di Biming and said smugly, "What's wrong? These corpse soldiers must be afraid of the corpse stabilizing pearl and the kitchen knife in my hand. Therefore they are cowardly and don't dare to come out. Even the little grasshopper is afraid of my corpse stabilizing pearl. Of course, these corpse soldiers are more afraid." Di Biming knew that Yin Chujiu was deliberately saying this to numb the enemy, so he agreed with her. However, he was on high alert and kept paying attention to the subtle changes in the surroundings. The underground palace occupied a large area. After walking for a while, another large door appeared in front of them. However, unlike the bronze door outside, this door was black. At this moment, black corpse chi overflowed from the heads of the corpse soldiers and attached itself to the patterns on the black door, while the corpse soldiers turned into dust. At the same time, the black door opened with a creak. Yin Chujio stretched her neck and looked inside. It looked similar to the tunnel here. Her gaze landed on the black door. It was a pity. There was a lot of corpse chi on the door. If she were to get it out, she would definitely be able to keep the little grasshoppers for a long time. However, she could not use her storage ring now. She could not carry the door out either. What a waste. This fellow Reluc. The surrounding walls were still painted with exquisite murals, but the content had changed from singing and dancing to intense fighting. From some details, it could be seen that this painting should be of the war between the celestial race and the demon race, but it seemed to beautify the celestial race's side and paint the demon race very ugly. On the celestial race's side, there were handsome men and beautiful women. On the demon race's side, there were toads, and ugly people with scarred faces. However, it was understandable. After all, this was the ruins of God's miracle. They had to stand on the celestial race's side and paint. At this moment, the celestial race and the demon race on the mural broke through the wall and pounced on Yin Chujio and Di Biming. Di Biming immediately used his palm wind to protect Yin Chujio. Although he no longer had any spiritual power, his palm wind was still sharp and instantly sent the first few that pounced at him flying. Only then did the two of them see clearly that the things that flew out were not the celestials and demons on the murals, but black bats. When Yin Chujio saw these bats, she did not know why, but she had a guess in her heart. She cursed loudly, "Bone spirit, get out here." Chapter 59:27. You have been exposed. The black bats paused for a moment and continued to attack Yin Chujio and Di Biming ferociously. Yin Chujio waved her large kitchen knife while laughing coldly. "Bone spirit, you have been exposed. I'm warning you, if you stop now, I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I will let you know what it means to burn your bones and scatter your ashes." The black bats paused for a moment, then pounced on her even more fiercely. Yin Chujio was secretly hating in her heart. "Very good, bone spirit, just you wait." When they were in the inheritance prison, the red skeleton had set up a pile of bats outside to protect them. Yin Chujio had only wanted to bluff a moment ago, but now it seemed that it really was that damned bone spirit. No wonder half of the demon beasts here were skeletons. No wonder the guardians of this underground palace were all corpse soldiers. It was really that damned red skeleton's doing. This bone spirit appeared in the prison of heritage one moment, then in the illusory sky banner the next, and now here again. It seemed like this bone spirit had hidden many things from her. I was too careless. I was deceived by it by pretending to be pitiful. This time, I have to teach it a lesson no matter what. At the same time, in the deepest part of the underground palace, a red skeleton was gnashing its teeth and muttering, "No matter what, I will kill you this time. I don't believe that I can continue to fail. This stinky girl doesn't have any spiritual power now. She won't be able to last long with that broken kitchen knife. Today I will avenge myself. As long as I put in more effort, I'm going to succeed." As the number of black bats increased, Yin Chujio and Di Biming couldn't hold on any longer. If the two of them had spiritual power, they naturally wouldn't be afraid of these bats. The bad thing was that they didn't have any spiritual power now. They could only rely on their movement techniques and physical strength to deal with these bats. If it weren't for their strong foundation, they would not have been able to hold on for a long time. Di Biming was burning with anxiety. Although he could not die, little Joe could not. He had to think of a way to escape as soon as possible. Di Biming looked around. When he saw the murals, his heart moved. Little Joe used the kitchen knife to cut those murals. Although Yin Chujio did not understand, she still used the kitchen knife to cut the murals at the side. Almost at the same time, a black bat shrieked and turned into nothingness. Yin Chujio's eyes immediately lit up. It seemed that the characters on the mural all corresponded to a bat. As long as the mural was destroyed, the black bats would disappear. The red skeleton, who was feeling smug. Damn it! It did not matter if they killed the black bats, because they would be resurrected. However, if they destroyed the mural, the black bats would turn into nothingness. Just as it was thinking, Heishinjo said arrogantly, "Bonehead, if you still don't come out, I will destroy the murals." The red skeleton was angry and resentful. It had no choice but to take the black bats away. Yun Chujo saw that the black bats had disappeared, so she did not continue to kill the murals. After all, it consumed a lot of energy, okay? She and Di Biming were very tired now, so it was better to conserve their energy. The two of them rested for a while, and then used the liquid secreted by the Guai Chao to replenish their energy, before continuing forward. After turning a corner, a red door appeared in front of them. Just as Yun Chujo was thinking, the exquisite patterns on the red door turned into red poisonous snakes that pounced on Yun Chujo and Di Biming. Chapter 59-28. The red skeleton on its knees. Hundreds of red poisonous snakes stuck out their tongues, revealing their poisonous fangs that glowed with a faint blue light. They hissed and hissed. If it were an ordinary person, this terrifying scene alone would make their scalp go numb, and their hands and feet go soft. However, Heishinjo was obviously not an ordinary person. She held a large kitchen knife, and slashed at those red poisonous snakes. Even if some of the red poisonous snakes bit her, she did not mind. This was because the corpse poison did not harm her at all. As for the wound, how could it be more painful than a lightning strike? She reached out and grabbed one of the red poisonous snakes 7 inches, and slammed it hard on the large iron door. She sneered and said, "Bone spirit, don't embarrass yourself in front of me with such petty tricks. If you don't know your place, I will chop this door into pieces." Seeing that Yun Chujo was really going to chop the door, the red skeleton hurriedly opened the red door, and the red poisonous snakes disappeared. After the red door was opened, Yun Chujo and Di Biming were both shocked by what they saw. Unlike the gloomy and scary outside, there was actually a solemn temple inside. 4 black flood dragons were carved on the surrounding stone pillars. The high ceiling of the temple was carved with the sun, moon, and stars. Even the stone slabs on the ground were painted with auspicious clouds. In the center of the temple was an altar with an exquisite jade box placed on it. What was out of place with this temple was a chair carved with dragons and phoenixes, and a red skeleton was squatting on it. Of course, the red skeleton originally wanted to sit on it, but in order to avoid being cleaned up by Heishinjo, it decided to crouch on it, so that it could run for its life. "Miss Fairy, we meet again. Are you surprised? Are you surprised?" The red skeleton used its skull to make a flattering expression. Yun Chujo sneered. "Bonehead, have you grown strong? Kneel down. Don't go too far. There is gold under the skeleton's knees. I want." Yun Chujo waved the large kitchen knife in her hand a few times. The red skeleton quickly knelt on the chair and said dryly, "Well, the ground is dirty. Can I kneel on the chair?" Yun Chujo looked at the terrified red skeleton and raised her eyebrows. She had been fooled by it previously. This time, she would not let it get away with it. "Tell me, what are you singing this time?" The red skeleton said pitifully, "This is also one of my clones. Every 100 years, when this place opens, it will summon me. I am not willing to come, but it is my duty. I am so dedicated to my work, so I can only reluctantly come and say a few words." Yun Chujo narrowed her. "It seems that you really have a lot of clones. I have really underestimated you. I did not expect you to have some ability. Just average. There are only a few of them." The red skeleton said proudly. Yun Chujo suddenly thought of a possibility. Her eyes flashed with surprise and anger. However, it disappeared in an instant. She said regretfully, "You are more powerful than the average Qi Ling. However, your clone can only be in the form of a skeleton, right? If you can change into another form, that would be amazing." The red skeleton pouted. "Of course I can. Our Qi Ling doesn't have a fixed form to begin with, so we can transform at will. However, I feel that this kind of bone-like beauty suits me better. Red is also more festive, so I like this appearance the most." Chapter 5929 is all about you, isn't it? Yun Chujio looked at the red skeleton that was showing off, and her voice suddenly turned cold. The weapon spirits that I met in all kinds of secret realms and all kinds of trial towers were all fucking you, weren't they? What radish spirit, Xiao Hei's frog white steamed bun, and the little skeleton were all your illusions, weren't they? The red skeleton that was kneeling on the chair almost fell down from the chair and shook its skull desperately. I don't understand what you're talking about. What radish spirit? What white steamed bun? Can it be eaten? Seeing its reaction, Yun Chujio immediately confirmed her guess. No wonder the artifact spirits she encountered were all the same stupid and cowardly Qi-Ling. After a long time, they were all the same. However, how did it do it? How could it travel through all kinds of divine artifacts in secret realms? Di Biming, who was standing at the side, was also shocked. Other than the ball of yarn, the other Qi-Ling that little Jiu encountered was actually the same Qi-Ling? How was this possible? However, the red skeleton's reaction was similar to self-disclosure. What exactly was going on? When the red skeleton saw that Yun Chujio did not say anything, it laughed dryly. Miss Fairy, you came here this time to ask for this jade box, right? Although the red skeleton changed the topic very stiffly, it had to be said that it had diverted Yun Chujio's attention. No matter what, it was more important to get what the pretty boy wanted first. That's right, we are here to take this jade box. Do you want to hand it over to us? Or do you want me to snatch it from you? The red skeleton. Cough 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 cough, Miss Fairy, we are all people who follow the rules in Qi-Ling. You can't be so rude. Besides, when this jade box was placed by someone, there was a restriction. If you don't meet the corresponding conditions, the jade box will self-destruct, said the red skeleton. Seeing that it didn't look like it was lying, Yun Chujio asked, what conditions? Blood test. If your blood can make the 4 flood dragons on the jade box swim, the jade box will open automatically. If you can't, I can't help you. The red skeleton tried its best to express its innocence. Yun Chujio snorted. This bone spirit was like Goei Batsao, hiding a lot of things from her. It looked like a coward, but in fact it was full of schemes. Goei Batsao, who had been implicated and scolded. It was so innocent, so naive. How could such a kind grass be a scheming grass? Framing, this was definitely a blatant frame-up. Yun Chujio looked meaningfully at the kneeling red skeleton, and said to Di Biming, who had been maintaining a protective posture, PR. Since it's something you want, it will definitely recognize your blood. Di Biming nodded, be careful. He gave the red skeleton a warning look, before walking to the altar, and dripping the blood from his middle finger onto the jade box. When the blood landed on the 4 black flood dragons, their eyes trembled slightly, but there was no follow-up reaction. The red skeleton stretched its neck and looked at it before saying, looks like this thing doesn't belong to you. Miss Fairy, you've seen it too. The flood dragons on the jade box aren't moving, so you can't take this jade box away. So please go back. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and stared at the red skeleton. The red skeleton did not look at her guiltily. What it said was true. If the flood dragon did not move and forcefully took the jade box would self-destruct. It was useless for her to stare at it. Chapter 5930. The contents of the jade box. Yun Chujio stared at the red skeleton for a long time. Seeing that it did not have the slightest bit of guilt, she knew that at least it was not lying about the jade box. Little Jiu, since there is no way to open the jade box, then forget it. Although Di Biming was a little disappointed, he felt that the time was not right. If he could not get it, then he could not get it. The main reason was that he felt that this red skeleton was very strange. Staying here for too long would bring him more trouble. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Although Di Biming said it casually, Yun Chujio knew that he was very concerned about the things inside the jade box. Otherwise, he would not have wasted so much time in the 10 Directions Academy, all for the chance to participate in the 100-year competition. However, this damn jade box had to meet the conditions to be opened. What should she do? Her gaze accidentally fell on the 4 black flood dragons on the stone pillar. These 4 flood dragons seemed familiar. Where had she seen them before? She remembered that she had once found a stone room under Sigua Ju of the Primordial Chaos sect. At that time, there were 4 chains that locked a huge coffin. The 4 chains turned into 4 flood dragons that attacked her. She was attacked until she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her blood turned into bloodlines that spread to the 4 corners of the roof. Only then did the 4 flood dragons turn into nothingness. It seemed that the 4 flood dragons were very similar to the flood dragons on the stone pillar and the flood dragons on the jade box. Why not use her blood to try? Thinking of this, Yin Chujio said to Di Biming, "Let me try. Maybe I can open it." Before Di Biming could say anything, the red skeleton said, "Miss Fairy, don't waste your energy. You already said that this is what he wants to take. Even if you try it, it will be in vain." The red skeleton's words stopped abruptly, because when Yin Chujio's blood dripped on the jade box, the 4 flood dragons started to swim quickly. They turned into eyes and flew to the eye sockets of the flood dragons on the stone pillar. The red skeleton was dumbfounded. Oh my, it really worked. Could it be that this jade box was also afraid of evildoers? Yin Chujio and Di Biming were also very shocked. Di Biming was afraid that there was some mechanism inside the jade box. So he took a few steps forward and blocked in front of Yin Chujio. The jade box finally opened slowly. When Hei Shinjio saw what was inside, her eyes almost popped out. She saw a red mask inside the jade box. It was exactly the same mask that Sha Mo had drawn for her on the face of the D. When she saw that there was no danger, she took out the mask. She took a closer look and found that the mask seemed to be an ordinary mask. It was not a spiritual item. She looked at Di Biming in confusion. "Prince Charming, you said that you came to retrieve something very important to you. Could it be this?" A certain deity was also confused. His seal had not been completely removed, and his memories were fragmented. However, one thing was certain. This mask was indeed very important to him. But he did not know what the reason was. Seeing that, Yin Chujio stuffed the mask into his hands. "Here, since you think this thing is very important, you can keep it." "Oh right. I remember that you wore a silver mask when you became the lord of the Yin clan. Could it be that you had some weird fetish in your previous life and liked to collect masks to play with?" Sheng Zun asked Di Biming. He held the red mask and looked at it, but it did not bring up any related memories. Perhaps it was because his spiritual power was sealed. It was not too late to try it after he got out. Chapter 5931. The cunning bone spirit. Yin Chujio looked at the red skeleton again. "Bone spirit, now that we're done with our business, shouldn't you tell me about yourself?" The red skeleton suddenly felt that something was wrong. It said dryly, tell me about what? I'm just a small Qi Ling. Miss Fairy, don't scare me." Yin Chujio snorted coldly. "Don't give me that trick. Tell me, why did you travel to all the secret realms and towers to deal with me?" "Miss Fairy, this is a great injustice. I don't understand what you're saying. Did you misunderstand?" The red skeleton said pitifully. He misunderstand? I've never been played so badly by anyone. Bone spirit, today I'll let you see what it means to burn bones and scatter ashes." As Yin Chujio said that, she went to grab the red skeleton. It was unknown what the red skeleton had done, but it had disappeared along with the chair. Yin Chujio was stunned. No wonder this damned bonehead had been sitting on the chair all this time. It turned out that there was another reason. At this moment, the red skeleton's arrogant voice was heard. "HMPH. Stinky girl. If it wasn't for the fixed corpse pearl in your hands, you would have died long ago. Today I admit defeat. Let's wait and see." Just as Yin Chujio was about to grab the large kitchen knife and settle the score with the red skeleton, the entire underground palace started to tremble violently. Cracks appeared on the stone pillars where the 4 flood dragons were. They were actually about to collapse. Di Biming grabbed Yin Chujio's hand. "Little Jio, let's leave this place first." Yin Chujio stomped her feet unwillingly. This damned bone spirit. She would settle the score with it sooner or later. The two of them hurriedly ran out. Perhaps it was because the underground palace was about to collapse, but the 3 stone doors had already been opened, and the black bat and the corpse soldiers and corpse generals had also disappeared without a trace. The two of them exited the bronze door and ran for a long distance before stopping. The two of them only heaved a sigh of relief when they discovered that their spiritual power had already recovered. However, Di Baiming frowned and said, "Little Jiu, something seems to be wrong." Yun Chujio looked at him in confusion. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" If the underground palace really collapsed, the commotion would be huge. However, look at the sand, there's no sign of movement, and the ground doesn't tremble at all. Before Di Baiming could finish his words, Yun Chujio gritted her teeth in realization. This damn bone spirit. It must have used some method to deceive us. It just doesn't want me to continue interrogating it. It's really infuriating. Yun Chujio's depression could be imagined. She had always been the one torturing Qi Ling, but now she realized that she had been fooled by the same Qi Ling. If it weren't for her big heart, she would have vomited blood in anger. She cursed the bone spirit dozens of times and said after she calmed down, "That's not right. Every time I meet Qi Ling, they don't seem to know me very well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be defeated. If they are all bone spirits, how do you explain it?" Di Baiming guessed, maybe those Qi Ling are its clones, but the news can't be transmitted in time. Maybe it's because its strength turned from weak to strong, so the next few times will be more difficult to deal with. Yun Chujio felt that what he said made sense. Anyway, one day, she would interrogate that damn bone spirit, and she would know the truth. She temporarily put this matter aside, and took out the little yellow dragon with tears streaming down its face. Since everything is safe now, I'll return the little yellow dragon to you. Chapter 5932. Was this mask the demon emperor's? The little yellow dragon felt that the time of happiness was too short. It had not even had the chance to say a few words to Sister Peach Blossom before it was sent back to Sha Xing's side. Could it refuse? Di Baiming said indifferently, "When the trial ends, I will leave directly. Let it stay to protect you. Although it's a little useless, it's still a little stronger than your few." The little dragon nodded its head vigorously. Yes, I'm very useful. Can you keep me?" The pleading in the little dragon's eyes was so real that it almost knelt down and kowtowed. Yun Chujio could not help but find it funny. Seeing that Di Baiming insisted, she could only nod. "All right, then I'll keep it for a period of time. I'll return it to you once I've established myself in the Academy of 10 Directions." Di Baiming shot a warning glance at the little yellow dragon, who could not help but be overjoyed. The little yellow dragon immediately became listless and did not dare to show off anymore. Yun Chujio kept the little yellow dragon. She thought of the red mask and said excitedly, "Prince Charming, quick, take out that mask. I will let that old fool Shaimo recognize it, and see if it is the mask of the Devil Emperor." Di Baiming immediately took out the red mask, and Hei Shinjo also let Shaimo out. "Shaimo, take a look at what this is." Hei Shinjo took the red mask from Di Baiming and shook it. Shamo's eyes were filled with disbelief, and he knelt down on the ground. The Devil Emperor has unified the 3,000 continents for thousands of generations. Yun Chujio. Di Baiming. Did Shaimo turn stupid after being locked up? Shaimo was so excited that tears streamed down his face as he said with a trembling voice, "Why do you have the Devil Emperor's mask in your hands? Where is His Majesty the Devil Emperor? Quick, bring me to him. I want to escort him back to the Devil Continent." Yun Chujio played with the red mask in her hands. "Is this mask really your Devil Emperor's?" Shaimo said excitedly. "Of course it is. I can smell the sacred aura of the Devil Emperor. Quickly tell me, where is the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and pointed at Di Baiming. "Here, the mask is his. He is your Devil Emperor." Shaimo looked at Di Baiming suspiciously. Although this man had an extraordinary appearance, the Devil Emperor in his memory was not like this. Not to mention his figure, his temperament was very different. Moreover, he did not have a red mole between his eyebrows. Shaimo was too agitated just now. Now that he regained his senses, he looked at the red mask in Yun Chujio's hand. His expression changed as he looked at it. "You stupid girl, you tricked me again. No wonder you asked me for the Devil Emperor's portrait. So you wanted to fake the Devil Emperor's mask to trick me. This is outrageous. Yin Chujio was so angry that she was amused. Shaimo, even if you want to deduct the charges against me, can you at least be more reliable? You said it yourself. You smelled the unique aura of the Devil Emperor. Why are you saying that I forged the mask now? Shaimo said exasperatedly. Humph. I don't know what method you used to make this Devil Emperor mask to be tainted with the faint aura of the Devil Emperor. But the real can't be fake, and the fake can't be real. The Devil Emperor mask is a magic tool that is difficult to find even with thousands of gold coins. But the mask in your hand clearly has no magic power at all. It is clearly forged by you. Yin Chujio curled her lips. If I wanted to lie to you, why would I need to go through so much trouble? You think too highly of yourself. To tell you the truth, this mask was found in the underground palace. I guess your demon emperor was killed. That's why the mask was put in the jade box. Who is it? Whose jade box is that? I want to fight him to the death. Shamo's eyes were red as he said. Chapter 5933. The Devil Emperor's hardcore fans. Hei Shinjo touched her nose when she saw Shamo's crazed look. Why are you so agitated? The owner of the jade box might not be the murderer of your Devil Emperor. Maybe he picked it up. Whether he killed it or not, he must know the cause of death of the Devil Emperor. Tell me, whose jade box is it? Shaimo said with his red eyes. Hei Xinjia's evil intentions immediately surfaced. She sighed and said, all right, since you insist on asking, I'll tell you. According to the item spirit in the underground palace, the jade box was placed there by the temple master of the Divine Devil Hall. If you want to take revenge, go to the Divine Devil Hall. Qiling said. Divine Devil Hall? Good, very good. New and old grudges. One day, I'll wipe out the Divine Devil Hall. Shaimo said through gritted teeth. New and old grudges? Hei Shinjo blinked her eyes. Shaimo, you have grudges with the God Devil Temple in the past? Tell me what exactly happened. What's there to tell? It's just the winner takes all. The God Devil Temple, and those old bald donkeys of the 10,000 Buddhas temple deserve to die. Shaimo said through gritted teeth. Have you met the Lord of the God Devil Temple? It's said that he seems to be still alive. Do you want to seek revenge on him? By the way, who is he? What does he look like? Hei Shinjo was like a wolf with a big tail. Shaimo shook his head. The Lord of the Divine Devil Hall is very mysterious. It is said that he is extremely powerful, but no one has ever seen his real face. It is also a coincidence that the Lord of the Divine Devil Hall wears a red mask all day long. Bah! Shameless, he must be imitating our demon emperor. Yin Chujio was speechless at Shamo's brainless fans. After hearing Shamo's words, she recalled the mural she had seen in the cave of the human-faced octopus. The main character depicted in the murals was a man wearing a red mask. There were many strange-looking demonic beasts around the man, and the scene was one of eulogies. Thinking of this, she asked, are there some monsters around the Celestial Devil Temple, Master? I've heard about it, but I've never seen those monsters. I don't know if they are all dead. Shaimo said with some schadenfreude. Yin Chujio's heart moved, and she asked again. When your Devil Emperor left the Devil Continent, was the celestial race already dead? Not yet. But when we came to find the Demon Emperor, the celestial race was already dead. They must have suffered retribution. Maybe the death of our Demon Emperor is related to the celestial race. Humph. All the races are jealous of the existence of a heaven-defying existence like the... She started to figure out the timeline in her heart. The first generation of the ancient era, the middle generation of the ancient era, the god and demon race, the two families were opposing each other. The last generation of the ancient era, the god and demon race were opposing each other, and the first god and demon war happened. The demon race suffered a great defeat, the appearance of the demon emperor, leaving the demon continent, the destruction of the god race, the disappearance of the demon emperor, the great war between the human race and the demon race. When did she and the pretty boy's previous life, the ghost ancestor, and the Shengzun of the yin race appear? When did they die? Was it before or after the destruction of the celestial race? Was it before or after the Great War between humans and demons? Did their deaths have anything to do with these two things? At this thought, she interrupted Xiaomo, who was chattering nonstop, and asked, "During the Great War between humans and demons, did you ever hear of the Nightmare Lord and the Ghost Ancestor?" Chapter 5934. Do you know him? Xiaomo frowned. I've heard of him, but I heard that he was already dead. Don't worry about this. If what you said is true, and His Majesty the Demon Emperor was really killed by the Divine Devil Hall, then the Divine Devil Hall must be looking for His Majesty's reincarnation. We have to find His Majesty before they do. Yun Chuzhou ignored him and pondered. It seemed that the timing of her and the pretty boy's death was almost in sync with the destruction of the celestial race and the disappearance of the Demon Emperor. It seemed that they were all related to the Divine Devil Hall. Xiaomo saw that Yun Chuzhou ignored him and said angrily, "Did you hear what I said? Since you are also a demon, you should have the consciousness of a demon citizen and help me find His Majesty the Demon Emperor's reincarnation. Poor His Majesty the Demon Emperor must have suffered a lot. In this lowly human continent, he must have suffered a lot of bullying, but I am powerless. I have let His Majesty the Demon Emperor down." Yun Chuzhou was speechless. This fiend had most likely been locked up by her for a long time. It was also possible that he had been beaten badly by Buttface and the others. How did he become a chatterbox? Qi-Ying was so obedient that he quietly acted like a rabbit every day. Thinking of Qi-Ying, Yun Chuzhou's heart stirred, and she let Qi-Ying out. Qi-Ying looked at Yun Chuzhou expressionlessly. Previously, he had tried every means to escape, but now he was disheartened. Qi-Ying, is the death of the Ghost Ancestor and Sheng Zun related to the destruction of the celestial race and the disappearance of the Demon Emperor? Yun Chuzhou did not beat around the bush and asked directly. Qi-Ying replied coldly, "I don't know." Qi-Ying was already used to being beaten up. He was used to it and did not care. Yun Chuzhou narrowed her eyes. "Do you not know, or do you not want to tell me? Aren't you afraid that I will teach you a lesson?" Qi-Ying sneered. "I am already in this state. What is there to be afraid of? If you want to kill me or cut me up, do as you please." Yun Chuzhou saw that Qi-Ying looked like he had nothing to live for, so she couldn't do anything to him. However, according to what she knew, Qi-Ying went to the 10,000 Ghost Lair later, and he was ostracized in the Divine Devil Hall. She might not know anything. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou didn't say anything and put him back into the spirit beast pouch. Xiaomo calmed down a little, and his intelligence finally came online. He rolled his eyes. "You're so concerned about the Ghost Ancestor and Sheng Zun, don't tell me you know them?" Yun Chuzhou glanced at him. "None of your business." Xiaomo. Just as Xiaomo was about to shout, Yun Chuzhou directly put him into the spirit beast bag and cut off the spiritual sense connection. Xiaomo was so angry that he almost died. Yun Chuzhou told Di Biming about the time that she had just smoothed out. Then she said, "Things are getting more and more complicated. We can only slowly search for valuable clues." Di Biming nodded. When all his seals were broken, he would know the whole truth. He looked at the red mask in Yun Chuzhou's hand and frowned. "Little Jiu, don't you think it's strange? Why can't I open the box, but you can? If you don't tell me, I've forgotten about it. What's so strange about it? We were a couple in my previous life. Isn't it normal for me to leave it with you?" Hei Xinjiu said indifferently. Di Biming glanced at her. "Then how did you get the Devil Emperor mask? Could it be that you knew the Devil Emperor back then?" Chapter 5935. The Red Mask. Thinking of Xiaomo's praise of the Demon Emperor, and the fact that his daughter-in-law had a mask that was very important to the Demon Emperor, a certain venerable felt a little sour. Hei Xinjiu did not know that a certain venerable had already reached a new level due to jealousy. She casually said, "It's not strange that you know me. After all, I'm loved by everyone. Everyone is willing to befriend me." A certain god's face was somewhat cold. "If it was just a simple friendship, why would I give such an important thing to you for safekeeping?" Hei Xinjiu finally realized that a certain god's tone was somewhat sour. She could not help but laugh and teased. Prince Charming, aren't you being a little too jealous? This might not even be the case. Maybe the Devil Emperor is you, and this mask is yours. Why else would the Divine Devil Hall be so scheming to kill you? Even though you don't have a red mole, and your body doesn't look like yours, who said that after reincarnation, you have to look the same as your previous life? A certain being couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed, and said dryly, after the seal was broken, from the scattered images I saw, I'm definitely not the Demon Emperor. In that case, I think that Wu Ji's head is a little similar. After all, no normal person likes skulls and things like that. Even if it's a fake skull, it still has to have that evil taste. Bring the mask to him to have a look. Perhaps he will be able to remember something. Hei Shinjo said as she handed the mask in her hand to Di Biming. However, no one expected that the mask actually slipped into the sand and disappeared in an instant. Hei Shinjo was stunned at first, and then began to dig the sand. The mask was very important. If it was lost, she would be so depressed that she would vomit blood. Di Biming did not expect such a turn of events, and quickly helped to dig the sand. However, there was a large area of sand here. How could he find it? Yun Chujio even let Xiao Hei out to search, but after searching for a long time, she could not even find the shadow of the mask. Hei Shinjo sat on the ground dispiritedly and said angrily, I'm so angry. This damn mask must have been pretending to be dead. From this, it seems that the Devil Emperor is not a good person. Di Biming could only comfort her. Maybe the mask has already gone to find the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor. Maybe it's a good thing. Hei Shinjo could not help but have a headache. If Sha Imo knew that she had lost the Devil Emperor's mask, he would probably fight with her to the death. She must not let him know about this. After all this, there were only 2 days left until the end of. Yun Chujio and Di Biming discussed, and decided to leave this desert first in case anything went wrong. Hence, the two of them took a short break before they left. After they left, a red mask emerged from the sand. The red light on the mask flickered as it burrowed into the sand once again. Yun Chujio was walking when she fell. This guy was stunned. She was a bit useless, but she shouldn't have fallen while walking, right? Fortunately, the sand didn't hurt her. But how did she fall? She looked down and her eyes widened. It was the red mask beside her feet. She was afraid that the red mask would disappear again. So she quickly grabbed it and shouted, Prince Charming, why is this thing here? Di Biming was also puzzled, but it was always a good thing to find it. Here, Prince Charming, take it this time. Don't let it slip away again. Yun Chujio reached out her hand to pass the red mask to Di Biming, but the red mask slipped into the sand again. Chapter 5936. Are you the Devil Emperor? Hei Shinjo and a certain deity had no choice but to dig the sand again. After digging for a while, they still could not find the red mask. In the end, not long after they walked out, Hei Shinjo was tripped by the red mask again. Hei Shinjo was so angry that she was about to puke. She grabbed the red mask and said angrily, If you dare to run again, I'll chop you into pieces. Di Biming was deep in thought and said, Little Jiu, I think the red mask wants to stay with you. It doesn't want to be taken away by me. It wants to stay with me? Why does it want to stay with me? Yun Chujio was confused. Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio deeply and said with uncertainty, Little Jiu, tell me, do you think you are the Devil Emperor? Yun Chujio was stunned at first. Then she laughed out loud. Prince Charming, don't tease me anymore. I'm the Devil Emperor? Shaimo said that the Devil Emperor is a man. Am I a real beauty? There are many ways to make people misidentify their gender in this world, and this is not a difficult thing. The figure in the portrait is very similar to you. Back then, the ghost ancestor appeared out of thin air. If you can contract with the devil god, it means that you are very likely a devil. Also, this mask clearly wants to stay by your side, so you are very likely to be the Demon Emperor. Hei Shinjo was somewhat moved by Di Biming's words. She blinked her eyes and said, But I don't have a red mole. Have you forgotten? When you were in the ghost domain, you had a red mole between your eyebrows. Yun Chujio was stunned. When she was in the ghost domain, she indeed had a red mole. But it was formed by a drifter, and not a real red mole. Was she really the Devil Emperor? This guy blinked his eyes and let Xiaomo out. Xiaomo snorted and said unhappily, "What do you want now? How dare you? Kneel down when you see me here." He Xinjiu said pretentiously. Xiaomo was stunned at first, then rolled his eyes. "Are you crazy? Yun Chujiu." This guy simply put the mask on his face and pretended to be serious. "Xiaomo, I won't hide it from you now. Actually am the Devil Emperor." Xiaomo saw Yin Chujiu put on the red mask and was slightly dazed. Then he showed an extremely angry expression. "Stupid girl. You're shameless. You've gone too far. You dare to defile our emperor's mask. Take it off. Did you wear this mask too? Are you worthy? Take it off." Yin Chujiu took off the mask and sighed. "Xiaomo, I'm really the Devil Emperor. Don't you think that my figure is very similar to your Devil Emperor? Moreover, don't you think it's strange that I can contract you? Also, this mask shamelessly insisted on following me. Doesn't this mean that I'm the Devil Emperor?" Xiaomo sneered. "Our demon imp." "You little girl, you still think you can admit it? What wishful thinking. What's so strange about you being able to contract me? As long as you're a demon, you can sign a demon god contract. This can only mean that you're a demon. Also, the mask shamelessly followed you? Don't flatter yourself. The mask clearly can't bear to part with me, because among the three of us, only I have the strongest demon race aura." Yin Chujiu was speechless when she heard that. What Xiaomo said made sense. Could it be that the person the mask couldn't bear to part with was actually Xiaomo? That's right. She is already the ghost ancestor and demon ancestor. She shouldn't be the demon emperor. If not, how would others live when she is so outstanding? Chapter 59:37 You are not the demon emperor. Xiaomo saw that Yin Chujiu was silent, and his tone softened a little. "Stop dreaming. I'll tell you the truth. You don't have the unique aura of the demon emperor, so it's impossible for you to be the demon emperor. Your top priority is to help me find the reincarnation of the demon emperor. When we reach the demon continent, it'll help you get close to the heavenly demon clan. I will give you a chance to practice the supreme devil scripture, so that you can get rid of the corpse chi in your body." The unique aura of the Devil Emperor? Are you saying that the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor has a special aura? Yin Chujiu blinked her eyes and asked. "That's right. Otherwise, if every Tom, Dick and Harry would come and pretend to be the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor, wouldn't it be chaotic?" Xiaomo said in a bad mood. Yin Chujiu thought for a moment. It seemed that she was not the Devil Emperor. There was nothing to be disappointed about. She had never thought that she was the Devil Emperor. Di Baiming had originally suspected that Yin Chujiu was the Devil Emperor. Now that he heard Xiaomo's words, he dispelled his thoughts and said, "Xiaomo, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you can't take the mask away. If there's a chance, it'll get Xue Wuji to come over. Get Xiaomo to identify you." Xiaomo immediately became excited. "Have you found the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor?" Yin Chujiu glared at him. "Don't be too happy yet. Wu Jia's head doesn't look like the figure you drew, and he doesn't have a red mole between his brows." Xiaomo said dryly, "Maybe His Majesty has changed his appearance after his reincarnation. It doesn't matter." Yin Chujiu directly put him back into the spirit beast pouch. She looked at the red mask in her hand, and threw it into the spirit beast pouch as well. This time, the red mask did not slip away. It seemed that he really could not bear to part with that old fool Xiaomo. After Yin Chujiu and Di Baiming left the desert, Di Baiming said, "In order to create the illusion that I have disappeared in the ruins of miracles, we will temporarily separate. After the trial ends, I will take the opportunity to leave. You have to be more careful in the 10 Directions Academy. Don't worry. If not, I still have the little grasshopper, Director Xiaofu, to protect me. Moreover, I will soon take in 2 masters as my backers. No one can bully me." Yin Chujiu said with a smile. Speaking of taking in her master, He Xinjiu then remembered that she had to get into the top 10 of the trial. However, she was not worried. Di Baiming was going to take the opportunity to disappear anyway. She would be able to get into the top 10, by keeping his mirage pearl. Di Biming reminded her again, and then disappeared in a flash. Although He Xinjie was a little sad about leaving, she was already prepared for this. She did not feel too much about it. She took out a fruit and started munching on it. Sigh, only food can heal the trauma in the heart. This guy ate a few fruits. Just as he was thinking about where to go on the skeleton tiger, a group of people walked over from afar. She focused her eyes and saw that the enemy's paths were narrow. It was actually Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianqiao. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianqiao saw that Yin Chuzhou was actually alone, so they quickly exchanged glances, and then quickly walked over. Yin Chuzhou's eyes flashed and revealed an absent-minded look. Xiao Lianqiao sneered. Tisk tsk. Yin Qingqing, where's Beiyu? Could it be that he thinks you're too useless and left you alone? And that lackey, Ding Wenru, could it be that she was bitten to death by a demonic beast? Yin Chuzhou looked as if she was angered. None of your business. Do you want to fight? Come on, I'll kill you. Xiao Lianqiao was so angry that her face turned red. Yin Qingqing, you're courting death. She was about to make a move, but she didn't expect to hear a shout from afar. Stop. Chapter 5938. Beiyu has disappeared. Xiao Lianqiao and the others turned their heads and saw a man walking over from afar. His face was extremely handsome, and the faint gloominess between his brows not only did not damage his charm, but it made people want to immerse themselves in it. Xiao Lianqiao frowned. Bai Yuechen, isn't this your cousin Lan Luochen? Why is he meddling in our business? Could it be that he wants to go against you? Bai Yuechen's expression was very ugly. Previously, he took the initiative to provoke Lan Luochen, but he was beaten so badly by Lan Luochen that it was unbearable to look at. He had lost all face. He came at the right time. He did not believe that the combined strength of 5 people would not be able to kill this wild bastard. He Xinjie secretly complained in her heart. Why did the blue dregs come? No, later she had to find an opportunity to escape, so that the blue dregs would not see through her identity. While everyone had their own thoughts, Lan Luochen had already walked in front of everyone. Bai Yuechen took a step forward and said coldly, "What are you doing here? However, you came at the right time. Today is the day you die." Lan Luochen did not even look at Bai Yuechen. His gaze landed on Yin Chuzhou, and his scrutinizing gaze made He Xinjie's scalp go numb. However, there was no flaw on his face. He looked at Lan Luochen in confusion. Lan Luochen frowned slightly. For a moment, he was not sure about his own guess. Bai Yuechen saw that Lan Luochen ignored him, and became even angrier. He slapped Lan Luochen's chest. Lan Luochen easily avoided his attack. His voice was somewhat cold. "I once promised grandfather that I wouldn't kill you. However, if you continue to be untactful, then I can only go and apologize to grandfather." Bai Yuechen heard his words and was both embarrassed and angry. However, he also knew that his cultivation level was far inferior to Lan Luochen's. He looked at Nangong Li and the others and said, "Everyone, let's attack together. As long as we kill this Lan Luochen, I, Bai Yuechen, will owe you a favor." Nangong Li and the others looked at each other. Killing Lan Luochen was beneficial to them, but not harmful. After all, the Bai family was the one who suffered the loss, so they couldn't ask for more. Just when both sides were at daggers drawn, someone ran over from afar. Qingcheng. The people who came were Ding Wenru, Nangong Shi, and Jiang Shuangli. The 3 of them were worried about Yin Chuzhou and Di Biming's safety, so they had been waiting in this area. They were naturally very happy to see Yin Chuzhou safe and sound. Ding Wenru ran to Yin Chuzhou. Seeing that she did not look well, she asked with concern, "Qingqing, what happened to you? Did?" Yin Chuzhou's tears immediately fell one by one. She hugged Ding Wenru and cried, "Sister Ding, Beiyu is missing. Sister Ding, Beiyu is missing. Beiyu is missing. Something must have happened to him. Sob, sob, I don't want to live anymore." "What? Beiyu is missing?" Everyone was stunned. Could he be dead? Xiao Lianqiao immediately said angrily, "Yin Qingcheng, what nonsense are you talking about? What happened to Beiyu?" Jian Zhuyu, who was at the side, also looked anxious. How did he go missing? Yin Chujio pointed at the desert behind her. He said that the demonic beasts outside did not pose any challenge to him, and insisted on going into the desert. He asked me to wait for him here. But it's already been a few days, and he still hasn't come out. Could something have happened? Woo, you guys came at the right time. Let's go in and look for him. Jian Zhuyu Xiao, don't you guys also like Northern Yu? Since that's the case, you guys can go in and look for Northern Yu with me. Chapter 5939 turned out to be fake. Ding Wenru was confused. Didn't the two of them enter the desert together? How did it become this way again? However, she still cooperated and put on a surprised expression. Is what you said true? Then let's go and take a look quickly. Don't really get into danger. Although Nangong Shi and Jiang Shuangli were as confused as Ding Wenru, they still cooperated and said, let's not delay. Well, go in and take a look now. Yin Chujio nodded and looked at Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Xiao, who had a conflicted expression on their faces. Come with me. Although we usually have conflicts, it's more important to find Brother Beiyu now. Jian Zhuyu's eyes flashed. The desert was extremely dangerous. Beiyu had not returned for a few days, so he was most likely dead. Since he was already dead, there was no need to risk going into the desert. Even Beiyu had lost his life. If she went in, wouldn't she be in danger? Xiao Lianxiao had the same thoughts as her. It was fine if it was a normal place, but the desert before her was extremely dangerous. Going in was no different from sending herself to her death. Besides, wasn't Beiyu blind to have taken a liking to this Yin Qingsheng? Then why should she risk her life to save him? Yin Chujio saw that the two of them did not say anything, and revealed an angry and incredulous expression. You, what do you mean by this? Didn't you say that you were so sincere and deep in love with Beiyu? So it was all fake. You two hypocritical women. Sister Ding, let's go in. Brother Beiyu is mine. If others don't save him, I'll save him. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianqiu's faces immediately turned red. Jian Zhuyu explained, it's not that we don't want to save Beiyu, but a few days have passed. The desert is so dangerous, and there's a high chance that Beiyu is already dead. If that's the case, why should we take the risk? Hearing her words, Xiao Lianxiao immediately felt confident. Right. Beiyu might have already met with an accident. It's not worth risking our lives. Moreover, there are still 4 hours before the trial ends. If Beiyu is fine, he will naturally be sent out. We don't need to take the risk. Yin Chujio's face was full of ridicule. You don't have to say so much to me. In the end, your love is fake and conditional. To think that you still have the face to compete with me for Beiyu. Sister Ding, let's go. Yin Chujio said and turned into the desert. Ding Wenru, Nangong Shi and Jiang Shuangli followed, also into the desert. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianxiao looked very ugly. It would be best if the 4 of them also died in the desert. Bai Yuchen's attention was not on Yin Chujio and the others. He had been staring at Lan Luochen. Now that Yin Chujio and the others had left, he said viciously, everyone, since Beiyu is already dead, we don't need to worry about him anymore. Help me kill this bastard first. As soon as Bai Yuechen finished speaking, before Jian Zhuyu and the others could react, Lan Luochen had already grabbed his neck. Lan Luochen used a little force, and Bai Yuchen's face turned red. His eyes bulged slightly, and he looked like he was about to die. Jian Zhuyu and the others couldn't help him, so they could only shout at the side. Just when they thought that Lan Luochen would really strangle Bai Yuechen, Lan Luochen let go of Bai Yuechen and said coldly, Bai Yuechen, this is the last time. If you mess with me again, you have no reason to live. Chapter 5940, Beiyu is dead? After Lan Luochen finished speaking, his gloomy eyes swept over Jian Zhuyu and the others before he left. Jian Zhuyu and the others did not dare to move. In that instant just now, a great fear rose in their hearts. It was as if in front of Lan Luochen, they were like ants that were at the mercy of others. Bai Yuechen coughed violently. It was not easy for him to catch his breath. He stared at Lan Luchen's back with his red eyes, his expression ferocious. On the other side, He Xinjiu brought Ding Wenru and the other two into the desert. However, they did not go deep into the desert. They only walked around the edge of the desert. Qingcheng, did something really happen to Beiyu? Ding Wenru asked with concern. Yin Chuzhou shook her head. I don't know either. In any case, he has gone missing. Ding Wenru naturally did not believe her nonsense, but it was not appropriate for her to ask. Yin Chuzhou took out the corpse of a demon beast from the desert and smeared the blood on the four of them. Then she said, We've been attacked by a demon beast. It's too scary. Let's run out quickly. After saying that, Yin Chuzhou turned around and ran back. As she ran, she shouted, Help! Help! Ding Wenru and the other two, Jian Zhuyu, and the others heard the cries for help from afar. They looked at each other and ran in the opposite direction. They had no obligation to save Yin Qingqing and the others. It would be better if they died. Therefore, when Yin Chuzhou and the others ran out, the original place was already empty. Yin Chuzhou pursed her lips. It was effortless for her to deceive these idiots. After a while, it was time for the trial to end. The people who participated in the trial were all bounced out of the ruins of miracles. President Gu of the 10 Directions Academy, President Yu of the Divine Enlightenment Academy, and the others were all waiting anxiously, hoping that their students would get good results. Therefore, as soon as the students were sent out, there were people who counted the number of fantasy beads each of them had obtained. At the same time, they asked expectantly if anyone had gotten lucky. The students shook their heads, indicating that they had not encountered any opportunities. President Gu and the others were disappointed but also puzzled. It didn't make sense. Every time they participated in the trial of the ruins of God, there would always be students who obtained opportunities. Why didn't there be any this time? He Xinjiu pursed her lips in her heart. Of course there wouldn't be any. That damned bone spirit had spent all her energy on dealing with her. So how could she have the leisure to set up any opera? Sooner or later, she would grind that damnable bone spirit into powder and turn it into a little bastard. While cursing the bone spirit in his heart, this fellow pretended to be anxious as he looked around. He didn't see Di Biming's figure. He must have used some method to escape. This fellow immediately ran in front of President Gu and howled, President, Big Brother Beiyu didn't come out. Open the ruins of God's miracle again. I want to go in and find him. What did you say? Beiyu didn't come out? The president looked around, and indeed didn't see Beiyu. His heart immediately sank. Did something happen to Beiyu? At this time, Ding Wenru stepped forward and added, President, Beiyu didn't come out after entering the desert in the ruins of Miracle. I'm afraid he's already. He Xinjia's howl became even more tragic. It was heartbreaking to hear and tearful to hear. President Gus' head buzzed. Beiyu was the top student of the 10 Directions Academy. How could he be killed? Chancellor Run and the others were also shocked. After carefully counting the number of people, they finally confirmed that Beiyu did not come out. They were basically certain that he was already dead. That was because only the dead could not be sent out. Chapter 59-41. Results after the chaos. Everyone could only accept the fact that the number 1 genius of the 10 Directional Academy, Beiyu, had died. He Xinjiu was so heartbroken that she cried and fainted. President Gu shook his head and sighed. He never thought that Beiyu would die in this trial. This was a great loss to the 10 Directional Academy. The people of the Divine Enlightenment Academy were gloating. With Beiyu's death, Lan Luochen of the Divine Enlightenment Academy was the one with the highest cultivation and the highest talent. If they were to draw a spiritual power competition, the 10 Directional Academy would definitely lose. Although they were sad, they still had to do what needed to be done. Soon, the statistics of the number of fantasy beads were completed. Looking at the results, President Gu and the others' faces turned even uglier. Among the top 50, there were only 15 students from the 10 Directions Academy. The first place went to Lan Luochen from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. He had obtained 20 more illusion color beads than Nan Gongshi, who was in second place. This was because Ding Wenru had given Nangong Shi a portion of her illusion color beads. Otherwise, the difference would be even greater. President Yu from the Divine Enlightenment Academy was beaming. He smiled and said to President Gu, "President Gu, our results this time are better. Sorry for making a fool of ourselves." President Gu was so angry that he was twitching. He knew that President Yu was saying this on purpose to anger him. He was in a very bad mood right now, so he was not in the mood to bicker with him. He said lightly, "The price of a soldier is the essence, not the quantity." President Yu pursed his lips in his heart. Just die and keep your mouth shut. The most outstanding Beiyu was already dead. The Divine Enlightenment Academy would definitely win this 100-year tournament. At this moment, someone behind them said weakly, "President Gu, I haven't handed in my fantasy pearl yet." President Gu turned around and saw the haggard-looking Yin Qingqing speaking. He said perfunctorily, "Since you haven't handed it in, then go over and hand it in." He had already seen Ding Wenru's results. Although she was not at the bottom, she was not able to enter the top 50 either. He estimated that Yin Qingqing's results should be about the same as hers. However, he soon heard the clamor of the crowd. "Oh my god, this Yin Qingqing actually became first place. Her cultivation is so low. How could she obtain so many fantasy beads? It must have been given to her by Beiyu. Maybe Beiyu took the risk to enter the desert to find the fantasy beads for her. It's all because of this mischievous person who killed Beiyu. Yuri. She must have forced him to do it." Ding Wenru was furious. She saw that the few people who fanned the flames were people who were on good terms with Jian Zhuyu. They must have been instigated by her. How shameless. She looked at Yin Chujia worriedly, only to see her crying silently and not saying a word. Ding Wenru secretly rolled her eyes. If she had not known this fellow all along, she would have thought that she had suffered a huge blow and had nothing left to live for. President Gus' mood was a little complicated. The first place belonged to the 10 Directions Academy, which was naturally something to celebrate. However, the first place belonged to a trash like Yin Qingqing, which was really unbelievable. President Ye's face froze for a moment, but then he thought about it. Yin Qingqing's cultivation was so low that it wouldn't matter even if she won the first place. Moreover, the number of fantasy beads was used to calculate the results. The students' results added up corresponded to the Academy's results in the first round. The Divine Enlightenment Academy was far ahead in the first round. As long as there were no major mistakes in the second round, the first place in the 100-year grand competition would still belong to the Divine Enlightenment Academy. Therefore, he smiled and said, "President Gu, congratulations. Since the first round of the competition has ended, let's draw the second round of the competition." Chapter 5942. I want to see my master. City Lord Murong had already prepared the items for the drawing of lots. 6 balls were placed in a black jar. The jar and the balls were made of materials that could isolate spiritual sense, in case someone cheated. The decibel of the 6 balls were written with spiritual power, artifact refining, pill refining, array formation, beast taming, and talisman making. President Gu and President Yu each drew one. City Lord Murong drew one. The 3 items drawn were used as the second round of the competition. President Gu prayed to the gods and Buddhas in his heart. He must not draw the spiritual power item. Once Beiyu died, no one from the 10 Directions Academy would be a match for Lan Luochen. However, what he was afraid of came true. The ball in his hand had 2 big words written on it, spiritual power. President Gu could not help but smile bitterly. It seemed like the 10 Directions Academy was going to lose the 100-year competition again. After losing the last 100-year competition, the 2 people at the back of the mountain scolded him so much that they almost beat him up. This time, it was likely that they would not be able to escape this calamity. He turned his head and saw that President Yu had drawn the pill refinement, while City Lord Murong had drawn the talisman refinement. President Gus' smile became even more bitter. These 2 items were not the strong points of the 10 Directional Academy either. It was like adding insult to injury. President Yu was in a very good mood. He felt that he had already won the 100-year competition. How could he not be happy? President Gu, I am looking forward to the second round of the competition tomorrow. It will be very exciting. It will not be in vain for so many people to come and watch the ceremony. President Yu said with a smile. President Gu squeezed out a smile and said, Yes, I am also looking forward to it. At the thought of embarrassing himself in front of all the major forces, and being scolded by the two grand elders, President Gu could not live with himself anymore. He said a few words of courtesy perfunctorily, and brought the people from the 10 Directions Academy back to their quarters. He paced back and forth in the room with a gloomy face. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that there was no chance of winning this 100-year competition. It would be great if nothing happened to the Northern Army. Sigh. At this moment, a guard came to report, President, Yin Qingqing requests to see you. President Gu was in a bad mood, but he did not want to see her. Thinking about how Bei Yu had just died, this little girl was really pitiful. He sighed and said, Let her in. A moment later, Hei Xinjiu, whose face was pale and her EY. Before she could say anything, she began to cry. President Gu was upset by her crying, so he couldn't say anything harsh. He could only comfort her. The world is unpredictable. Besides, the path of cultivation is full of dangers. Don't be too sad. Yin Chujio wiped her tears and sobbed. President, I want to see my master. I want my master to find a way to save Bei Yu. Bei Yu is definitely not dead. President Gu. He had forgotten about this. Back then, he had said that as long as Yin Qingqing entered the top 10, he would let her meet the two grand elders. Now that she had brought up this matter, wasn't it just adding to the mess? He said perfunctorily, The ruins of God's miracle opens once every 100 years. Even the two grand elders can't do anything about it. Give up on that thought. President Gu, you must be lying to me. My master will definitely have a way. I get it. You just don't want me to see them, right? Are you trying to intercept Hure because of my outstanding talent, and take me in as a disciple before they do? President Gu, this guy had reached a new level of shamelessness. How blind was he to want to take her in as a disciple? Chapter 5943's aptitude was average. President Gu took a deep breath and said, Yin Qingqing, it's not that I'm lying to you. The two grand elders are so elusive that I can't see them for the time being. Woo 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 woo. Even if I can contact them, the two grand elders might not be willing to see you. Woo 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 woo. President Gu was frustrated by Hei Xinjia's crying. He shouted, All right, stop crying. I will tell the two grand elders if I see them, but I don't care if they see you or not. Hei Xinjia's crying stopped abruptly. Really? You are not lying to me? President Gu replied snappily. Of course it's true. It's getting late. You should go back now. Hei Xinjia wiped her tears and left. Before she left, she said seriously, President, you have to keep your word. You will be struck by lightning if you lie. President Gu. He felt that he had been extremely unlucky recently. One thing after another, he was really depressed. While he was thinking, the door was pushed open again. He thought that it was Yin Chujio who had come back. So he snapped. Why did you come back again? Didn't I already promise you? You little bastard, who are you talking to? President Gu's head buzzed. He looked up and saw that it was the two grand elders who had come in. President Gu complained in his heart. Why are these two ancestors here? They must be here to punish us. It's over. It's over. I'm going to be scolded again. The short elder pointed at President Gu's nose and scolded. I heard from that old geezer Chi-Chen that after the first round, the Divine Enlightenment Academy had a lot of points ahead of our 10 Directions Academy. Is that true? President Gu shrunk his neck and explained. It's mainly because one of our most talented students has fallen. Otherwise, we would have more points than them. Stop talking about those useless things. What I want is the result, not the process. In the second round of the competition, what did you draw? Are you confident that you can surpass them? President Gu did not dare to lie. He braced himself and said, In the second round, we are at an even greater disadvantage. Not to mention surpassing them, I'm afraid we will fall even more. The short elder was obviously very angry. He kicked the coffee table to pieces. Trash! Trash! All of you are trash! What use do we have for you? Chi-Chun, that old brat, is going to mock us for 100 years again. If we had known this would happen, our primal institution would have taken in a few students. No matter how bad they are, they would still be better than this bunch of trash under our guidance. President Gu had suffered a lot today. After being reprimanded by the short elder, he felt a little uncomfortable and blurted out, "There are already students available. Why don't you give it a try?" President Gu also said it and regretted it. However, it was impossible to take back what was done. When he thought of Yin Chujia's crying appearance, he decided to make up his mind. Since it was already like this, there was no need for him to continue scolding her. The two old men were stunned. The short old man frowned. "What do you mean?" "The primal region took in 2 students by accident this year. Because of their average aptitude, I didn't dare to tell you too," President Gu said as he braced himself. The two old men had complicated expressions. Although they were unhappy that they had been hidden, they were happy when they thought that the primal region had a successor. To be honest, they had regretted it a long time ago. Back then, they had set the requirements too high, to the point that they had no successor even though they had the ability. However, due to their pride, they could not go back on their words. Now that they heard that the prehistoric branch had a student, they were naturally a little happy. Chapter 5944. Little trash. As for what President Gu said about average aptitude, the two old men's understanding was a little off. They thought that it was because there was a gap between their requirements, but it should still be a high-quality aptitude. The short old man snorted coldly. "You're getting bolder and bolder. However, since you've already accepted them, then let us see them." President Gu did not expect things to go so smoothly. However, when he thought of the 2 only students from the primeval branch, he muttered, "Their aptitudes are really average. Please be mentally prepared, seniors." The 2 elders did not think much of it. If their aptitudes were really poor, how could they be qualified to participate in the 100-year grand competition? This little Guzi had learned to be humble. Seeing that the 2 of them took it to heart, President Gu did not say much. Anyway, when they met later, they would understand whether what he said was true or not. President Gu immediately asked someone to call Yin Chujio and Ding Wenru over. But he did not say what it was about. Ding Wenru was confused. "Qingqing, what did the president ask us to do? Could it be that he wants to ask about Beiyu?" Yin Chujio vaguely guessed a little, blinked her eyes and said, "No matter what happens later, just follow my instructions." Ding Wenru naturally had no objections. She had the intention to cling onto her thigh. The 2 of them soon arrived at the temporary courtyard, where President Gu was staying. After getting permission, they entered the study room. They saw President Gu standing respectfully at the side. 2 old men sat on the chairs. One was tall, and the other was short. They had white hair and a youthful face. They looked like masters. The eyes of the 2 old men fell on Yin Chujio and Ding Wenru. Their faces were dumbfounded. Even in their dreams, they had never thought that the average aptitude that President Gu mentioned would be so average. One was at the 8th level of the Divine Revelation realm, and the other was at the 1st level of the Divine Summoning realm? What kind of joke was this? Qingqing pays her respects to the 2 masters. Hei Xinjiu quickly saluted, and it was as smooth as flowing water. Ding Wenru was dumbfounded. However, when she remembered what Yin Chujio had told her before, she quickly saluted, but she did not dare to call them masters. Instead, she said, "Ding Wenru pays her respects to the 2 seniors." The short old man was stunned for a moment. He pointed at Yin Chujio and Ding Wenru and shouted at President Gu, "Is this the average aptitude you said? These are clearly 2 good-for-nothings. You actually took in 2 good-for-nothings without telling us. You are really audacious. Today I must." President Gu had long expected this. He smiled bitterly and did not explain himself. Instead, he lowered his head and waited to be beaten. At this moment he heard a sneer. The short old man looked towards the source of the sound. Seeing that it was Yun Chujio who was laughing, he said angrily, "Little trash, what are you laughing at?" "Laughing at people who are laughing at funny things." Yun Chujio snorted and said. President Gu immediately scolded. "Yin Qingcheng, don't be rude. Hurry up and apologize to the two grand elders." Yun Chujio acted as if she did not hear him. She looked at the short old man provocatively with her red and swollen eyes. The short old man had always been able to do whatever he wanted. He was naturally furious when he was reprimanded by Yun Chujio. He released a terrifying pressure, wanting to teach Yun Chujio a lesson. Under the immense pressure, Ding Wenru fell to her knees. She did not want to kneel, but she could not withstand such a strong pressure. Even President Gu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Although Yin Chujio's body was trembling, she straightened her back and stared fearlessly at the short old man. Chapter 5945. You are an old trash. In fact, the short old man's pressure did not pose any threat to He Xinjiu. However, in order to not appear too abrupt, he pretended to be stubborn. The short old man gasped. He did not expect this little trash to have a bit of backbone and tenacity. He was actually able to resist his pressure. The short old man withdrew his pressure and sized up Yun Chujio with an unfriendly gaze. No matter how he looked at it, she was still trash. He snorted coldly. "Little trash, tell me, who is the laughable person? What is the laughable thing?" President Gu kept signaling He Xinjiu with his eyes, telling her not to spout nonsense. Otherwise, he would not be able to protect her. Yun Chujio acted as if she did not see it and laughed lightly. "The laughable person is naturally you. The laughable thing was naturally done by you." President Gu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This Yin Qingqing was really courting death. He hurriedly said to the short old man, "Senior, please don't be angry. This Yin Qingqing is spouting nonsense because her beloved has died. Please don't lower yourself to her level." The short old man glared fiercely at President Gu. President Gu shrunk his neck and did not dare to make a sound. The short old man narrowed his eyes. "Tell me, how am I funny? What funny thing did I do? If you can't convince me, I'll slap you to death." Ding Wenru looked at Yin Chujio worriedly. She prayed in her heart that Yin Chujio could come up with a fallacy. Otherwise, she would not be able to recover. However, Yin Chujio did not seem to feel the killing intent of the short old man. She still looked indifferent and asked instead of answering, "You two are both lecturers from the prehistoric institution, right?" The short old man snorted coldly. "Of course. Since you two are lecturers from the prehistoric institution, then you should have the self-awareness of being a teacher. Although Ding Wenru and I are not very talented, we are serious students from the prehistoric institution. As the saying goes, there is no discrimination in teaching. Yet you keep calling us little trash. Is this what a teacher should look like?" Just as the short old man was about to interject, Yin Chujio raised her voice and continued. "What's even funnier is that because of your narrow-mindedness, the primal chaos branch has been abandoned for thousands of years. You are the sinners of the primal chaos branch. Don't use the lack of qualified students as an excuse. This is clearly a cover for your laziness and vanity. Because of your inaction, the primal chaos branch has completely declined. As a result, its courtyard and belongings have been taken away by other branches. Because of your selfishness, the 10 Directions Academy had lost more than they had won in the last few hundred-year competitions. How could you still have the face to scold President Gu here? How could you still have the right to call me a little trash? If I am a little trash, you are an old trash." The short old man's face flushed red, and he nearly fainted from anger. He raised his hand and was about to slap Yin Chujio. How outrageous! This little brat was courting death. You want to beat me to death? Come on, I don't want to live anymore anyway. You caused the Primeval Sub-Academy to lose its inheritance. When I go underground and meet the ancestors of the Primeval Sub-Academy, I'll tell them about you. Let's see how you'll have the face to meet them in the future." The short old man was so angry that he was twitching. However, he couldn't keep his hand down. Although this wretched girl was detestable, what she said made some sense. In fact, he had regretted it a long time ago. However, because he had said too much back then, he had been hiding in the back mountain to cultivate due to his pride. As a result, the primal region branch had completely declined. Chapter 5946 Red-Eyed Little White Rabbit. The short old man glared at Hei Shinjio. It seemed unreasonable to slap her. But if he took it back, where would he put his face? At this moment, the little girl who had been arguing with him just now actually cried. Woo woo woo, master. I didn't mean to anger you. I was really wronged. You don't know that Ding Wenru and I have been ostracized by the other branches and suffered a lot of humiliation. Therefore, when I found out that I had a master, I was so happy that I almost went crazy. However, you called me a piece of trash and looked at me with disdain. That's why I spoke rudely. You won't be angry with me, will you? You will definitely forgive me, won't you? The short old man was obviously dumbfounded by Hei Xinjia's sudden change in style. He was just as angry as a little lion, but now he had become a red-eyed rabbit? His hand that was suspended in the air immediately turned around and pointed at President Gu as he scolded. Is what the little trash said true? The students of the primeval institution were bullied to such a state, yet you ignored them. What's the point of having you? President Gu, what did he do wrong? Why was he the one who was scolded in the end? Besides, didn't you not admit that they were the students of your prehistoric branch? Why are you standing up for them now? What kind of show is this? When the short old man saw that President Gu didn't say anything, he scolded even more vigorously. Say something. Do you think that we two old bones are useless? So you let the other branches bully the prehistoric branch? No matter how stupid they are still students of our primeval branch. How can they allow others to bully them? Little trash, tell me how they bullied you? Hei Shinjio said in tears. Our territory has been occupied by them, and they only left us a small courtyard. Previously, they had to occupy half of this small courtyard. If it were not for my desperate struggle, I'm afraid that the primeval branch would only have a plaque left. Also, the gate of our prehistoric institution has been splashed with dog blood and a lot of dirty things. The gate is in a mess, and they even blocked the gate to scold us. That's not all. They even said that the people of the prehistoric institution are all dead, and they are all useless. Seeing that Yin Chujio was getting more and more unreasonable, President Gu glared at her with a warning. The short old man happened to see it, so he immediately slapped President Gu and pushed him. Why are you staring? You bastard. Little trash, continue talking. I want to hear how these bastards are bullying our prehistoric branch. President Gu was so depressed. He stood up and quietly stepped back to avoid any more unexpected disasters. Master, you don't know that the 6 chancellors are going to jointly expel Ding Wenru and me. They also said that the primeval subdivision should have been abolished a long time ago. They said that the primeval subdivision is occupying the latrine pit and not doing anything. Anyway, if they want to bully people, they should bully people more. President Gu couldn't help but interrupt. Yin Qingcheng, don't exaggerate. It's not as serious as you said. Yin Chujio glanced at him and took out a shadow stone. Master, look at the current situation of our primeval subdivision. There's only this small courtyard, and the territory has been occupied by the alchemy subdivision and the talisman subdivision. Did you see the drama on the gate? Also, the dirty things at the gate were all lost by the students of the other branches. If it weren't for me and Ding Wenru being smart, we probably wouldn't have been able to keep our lives. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.